I've tried to start this script like 20 different ways, but I think the first thing I need to say is that I love this stupid game. It's just so silly and so fun and so serious all at the same time. It's like the game was specifically handcrafted for me. In the first 5 days of playing it, I already had 70 hours in, and I'd do it all again if I could, which is all going to make this challenge that much harder. But it's okay. I've steeled myself at least a little since the depressing episode that was I killed every NPC in Skyrim. I can do this. But what I can't do is make it happen by myself. Baldur's Gate 3 is too new and too huge to have all of its information out there on the internet. So by doing this in 3 parts, I'm hoping that I will get some help from you guys at home to tell me if I missed anyone, if there's anyone who's hard to find that I should watch out for, or if I've screwed myself over somehow and have locked myself out of killing anyone for any reason. Now, like with Skyrim or Oblivion or whatever, I'm talking specifically about unique NPCs. NPCs that aren't basic like Goblin Sharp Eyes or Shadows. Though to be fair, I'm gonna try and kill them too. Frankly, I just want to be able to walk anywhere in this massive world and not find any life. I just heard that for the first time out loud, and Jesus Christ. Now, I said that I'm gonna need your help, and I will, but I think I've got Act 1 pretty covered, and this video is gonna be long enough already without all my rambling, so let's get into the massive task of killing every NPC in Baldur's Gate 3. Making a character is actually my favorite part of the game. I made sure to be the Dark Urge because A, some NPCs don't spawn if you don't pick the Dark Urge, and B, if I didn't, the comments would be riddled with people saying, "Oh, you should have picked the Dark Urge," and honestly, they're right. In fact, they're so right that I had already done the entirety of Act 1 already, but realized that I should be the Dirge, so I restarted, and now we're here. This does mean that I won't run into other origin-specific characters like lae'zel, which sucks, but there's not really a way around that. As far as my actual character goes, though, I figured a tiefling would be the most fitting race, considering that racists already refer to them as foul bloods, so I might as well prove them right. I'm always inspired by those is it Tav or Tav? Oh my god, I don't know. I'm always inspired by those Tave edits on TikTok. It's not Tave. I'm always inspired by those custom character edits on TikTok, so I tried to make her look cool and unique. I gotta say, I like her. For my class, I went with a Paladin because not only are they insanely strong, but an Oathbreaker Paladin just kind of feels right. Then I just gotta name her, and sticking to the devilish theme, I named her Dumfries. Welcome to the pantheon of genocidal maniacs, Dumfries. Now we can get oh right, my Guardian. Well, I think I'm actually gonna let my Guardian be a surprise for now. Oh, also, I know this kind of goes without saying, but here's a big spoiler alert. I mean, I'm gonna end up beating the game and stuff, so duh. Dark Urge or not, the first place we still find ourselves is waking up on the Nautiloid in Avernus. Our character has a bit of amnesia and can't remember her past. No worries though, we'll get that all sorted out as we go. I looted the starting room and then got into my first NPC kill pretty quickly. There is what's called an intellect devourer in this guy's head. Intellect devourer, more like TikTok, am I right guys? Cause the kids, they have applesauce for brains now. I've never felt older than I do right now. Anyways, you can free the creature, but that will kill the guy. So of course I punched him in the fucking head, pulled his brain out, and now I had a little friend. This is Us. I don't have to kill Us right now, and I could use his help in the fight to come, so I refrained from attacking him. 2 seconds later, we meet a very important character, the Gith Goat, lae'zel. People hate on lae'zel, and I guess I probably did too at some point, but she definitely has grown on me. With lae'zel and Us by my side, I completed the tutorial fight and made my way deeper into the bowels of the ship. Speaking of bowels, I made these guys spill theirs by murdering them. At least I'm pretty sure that's what happens when you die. I don't know, I haven't died yet. I ran right past Shadowheart, killed a little brain guy that is different from my little brain guy, picked up a rune, and made sure I stopped to transform this lady in the pod. Technically, this isn't killing her, but it is made abundantly clear in the game that mind flayers don't have souls, so she might as well be dead. I took that rune I got 2 seconds ago and used it to free Shadowheart. Gods above, do I love this woman. Favorite companion, bar none, don't f***ing at me. I've kind of got a full squad now, and I'm ready for our first big fight. Stepping into the helm, we are greeted with some Hellspawn versus Mind Flayer action. My first attempt was a complete bust, but on the second try, the Mind Flayer was a little more useful and helped me get the kill. I then killed the Mind Flayer, got Zulk's cool sword, and made my way to the transponder to get the hell out of hell. The ship is redirected and we are sent tumbling to our death, except we're saved at the last second. We'll also have to figure that out later. Upon waking up, I had just enough XP to level up and got some pretty powerful new stuff for doing so. Before helping Shadowheart, I stepped up to a corpse and found a smile crawling across my character's face. I tried to remember the last time I stood over a corpse, but had no such luck. I shook Shart and had her Sorry, Shart gets me every time. I shook Shart and had her join my party. With the cool sword I got from Commander Zulk, we killed some more TikTokers and then ran into yet another very important character, Astarion. We got off on the wrong foot, but with a little psychic intervention, we ended up joining forces. I usually just send him to camp, but this time I think I'm gonna take him with me, at least for now. Not far down the way, there's an injured mind flayer, and you'd best believe I put that sucker down. I then approached a little wormhole looking thing, and a hand popped out. I resisted the urge to cut it off, Jesus Christ, Urge, and instead pulled him out. This is Gale.
Hello. I'm Gale of Waterdeep.
I don't love Gale like I love Shadowheart, but I do like him, and I'm taking him with me. With my now full party, I came across some tieflings who had taken a friend of mine prisoner. I tricked them to let lae'zel down, and once she was out, we turned on the tieflings. The fight was nothing special, but doing this did end up breaking my paladin oath. My oath broken, I was confronted by the Oathbreaker Knight, and he told me that he'd see me at my camp tonight. I also sent lae'zel to camp, so now I have 2 people to nag at me later. Now, we've done a little killing, but this part here is going to be our first bigger slaughter of NPCs. I positioned my team to do maximum damage to these guys and took them all out in one turn. We're not done killing yet, there's still plenty of these guys inside the actual ruins. I broke in and used a single firebolt to just blast them all. I cleaned up the stragglers and tore my way further inside. I pissed off a bunch of skeletons, who I ended up absolutely annihilating, reached level 3, and then found Withers, one of the best NPCs in this whole game. And, just so we're clear, I don't get to kill Withers. He's one of the very few that are untouchable, and without some kind of mods or cheats, or help from you guys I guess, it's just not gonna happen. I felt like this was a good place to hit the hay and took the team to camp. Everyone in camp was in a f***ing mood. lae'zel barked at me like I knew she would, Astarion was creepy, Shadowheart was all suspicious and weird, and Gale was remarkably somber.
Go to hell.
Then I had a long talk with the Oathbreaker Knight and took up the title and powers of Oathbreaker for myself. This gave me access to some new powers, and with that done, I was actually ready for bed. Now, okay, this is insane, but when I woke up, just out of sheer curiosity, I attacked the Oathbreaker Knight. I had no actual hopes of this going well, but my first hit did way more damage than I was expecting, and I realized that I might actually have a chance against this guy. Mind you, he is level 12, the maximum achievable level in Baldur's Gate 3, and my merry band of misfits and I were all level 3, so this fight should be virtually impossible. He ended up dropping me in a single turn, but I still didn't give up. I kept throwing the best I had at him, and I was chipping away at his health, but all seemed lost after he had downed Shadowheart and Gale with little effort. Then a divine smite from me put me right back in the fight. He killed me again, but I still had my ace in the hole, Astarion. The knight was so distracted with finishing off my other 2 downed friends that he was completely ignoring Astarion, and with some sneaky shots, he killed the Oathbreaker Knight. Not only did I not know if this was possible or not, but I was certainly not expecting it to happen this early on. I revived everyone and went right the f back to sleep. Everyone was looking pretty rough, but a good night's sleep fixed us up. Also, thanks for your help, lae'zel. And if you're wondering what the knight dropped, he just had a +1 greatsword and some normal plate armor. A little disappointing. To really get anywhere else, I had to stop by the Emerald Grove. Of course, when I arrived though, it was under attack by some goblins. Just in time though, Will swoops in and says some real deeply cringe shit.
Provoke the blade and suffer its sting.
I actually didn't do all that much to help because I was trying to let people die, but eventually the fight was over and we were able to enter the grove. There's a little infighting going on, and I stood up for my tiefling brother by knocking Aradin on his ass. I rolled a 22. I should have taken his f***ing head off. And then he got up, called me a slur, and ran away. I guess I deserved that. Now, there's a lot going on in the grove, so I'm gonna try and get through it quickly. I started doing some trading with Aaron, I don't know, dumb name. Then I convinced Nolan and his siblings not to leave the grove so that I could get some XP. I talked to Will and sent him to camp for now. I intervened in Saza's killing just so I could kill her myself, and then I went into the hidden passage and killed all the goblins there, and of course helped them finish off Findal. I went back to the surface and found a poor helpless girl to let my dirge out on. Didn't know you could even do that, rest in peace. And then rewarded myself with some gruel from Octa. Then in the actual grove part of the grove, I was confronted by some druids who are apparently trying to keep visitors out. I also really hate Magrins Aaron's bear transformation, it's like as bad as Will's awful one-liners for me. They can't keep a bad like me out though, and I made my way inside. There's a handful of people to kill here, starting with the harpies that are trying to lure this child into the water. I don't know if you can actually let this kid die. I tried a couple times to just let him go, but no luck. I don't think you can kill children at all in this game actually, so I guess I didn't kill every NPC. Yeah, I can't wait to see those comments. I killed the harpies though, and he ran off. Then I attacked Elfira while nobody else was around. Why attack her now? Well, I'll keep that one a secret for a little bit, but don't worry, it'll be explained later. I also killed her squirrels. And while I was over there, I killed Orm the bear because I don't think he sticks around forever. Okay, so wait, I lied. There is actually one child I can inadvertently kill. Kalga, the queen of the grove, captured a little tiefling girl named Arabella. You can make her try to escape, and if you do, she'll get bitten by a snake and die. It's completely undeserved, of course, but I've got a job to do. Then Kalga gives you a bunch of ridiculously sassy expressions and tells you to f*** off. Before I f***ed off, I stopped and used a spell to talk to Arabella's dead body. It was way more sad than I was ready for. I asked why she stole the idol, the reason that she was apprehended in the first place, and she said she did it to make sure that her people wouldn't have to leave the grove. And when I asked what I should tell her parents, she didn't have an answer, because what are you really supposed to tell the parents of a murdered little girl? I did let them know though. I don't know if that really does anything for me, but I do have a heart in there somewhere. I think I've caused enough trouble for now, so let's hit the open road. Right outside of the grove there are 3 people, cultists, who were attacked by an owlbear. I didn't even talk to them. I just had Gale lay them out and Astarion finished off the survivor. That owlbear I mentioned is in a cave nearby and it's not alone. I won't make you watch it, but here's the aftermath. I killed the owlbear, sure, but the hard part was killing the cub. You can befriend the cub and have him be part of your camp later, so this just felt really bad. Rest in peace, owlbear family. It had been a long day, so I called it a night. When I did, a dragonborn named Quill Grootslang showed up to my camp. This is why I killed Alfira earlier. If I hadn't, then Alfira would have shown up in camp instead, and I wouldn't have ever gotten to see Quill. I invited her to stay, and in return, she sang? Wow, almost makes what's about to happen feel better. We all go to sleep, but I wake up in the middle of the night to find Quill's eviscerated body lying before me. Clearly this was my doing, but my character can't remember doing it, and I decided not to hide the body from my companions. Astarion made me laugh.
Now, I can't help but notice that one of us is positively drenched in blood, so...
And I owned up to my actions. Nobody was particularly pleased, but I'm honest if nothing else, and with that out of the way, I left camp once again. I was on an evil streak already, so I thought that maybe now was a good time to make one of the most depressing kills in the game. This is Scratch. Just know before I do this that Scratch is a very good boy. At least he can be with his owner now. That one is right up there with Miko for hardest kills ever, man. That sucks. Gotta shake it off though, because I've still got lots of work to do. A little further up the way is a fellow tiefling named Karlak. She's kinda having a bad time when we first encounter her, but she pretty quickly returns to her quirky, silly attitude. Karlak is actually someone that Will is hunting, so I sent her to camp and went to bed so that I could get that confrontation over with. Then it occurred to me, I don't actually need her. I mean, her quest doesn't have any special encounters. Sure, she hates Gortash, who we meet later, but we'd meet him without her anyways. So with these facts in mind, I turned on Karlak, attacked her, and killed her. Between the owlbears, Scratch, and now Karlak, I am feeling bummed. There are some fraudulent bags I can take it out on though. In the morning, I went straight to the toll house to take on the fake paladins of Tyr. Sorel got killed in one hit, Anders got killed in one hit, I was very shocked about that, and then Trin didn't stand a chance on her own. It didn't make me feel all the way better, but it helped. I went down and looted the cellar, including the secret room over here, and then went gnoll hunting. There's a bunch of gnolls and hyenas along this road and in this area in general, but those don't give me too much trouble. In fact, I even got to level 4 from this and took the Savage Attacker feat, a feat that helps me make an already strong class even stronger. The gnoll that did have me sweating a little was Flynn, the leader of the gnoll pack. That motherfucker hits hard and takes them like a champ, so it took a while, but I eventually got rid of her and her lackeys. Those gnolls were attacking these two, Rugen and Ali. And can you guess what I did next? Yeah, I know, it's a shocker, but I killed them too. I definitely needed to sleep after all that, but when I got to camp, we were greeted with this hot piece of demon ass. I'm sorry, I know she's a monster, but god damn it, did they make her bad. What were we talking about? Oh, right, this is Mizora, Will's patron, and the one who tasked him with killing Karlak. Because he had killed her, well, okay, he didn't actually help at all, but I guess that's besides the point. But because she's dead, he got a cool robe. I guess that's really all you get for Karlach's life, huh? And then I just took that robe and gave it to Gale anyway, so net 0 for Will. Before I went to sleep, I attempted to rizz up Shadowheart, which was a little more successful than you might have expected, and then I went to bed. I started dreaming about that Vuvuzela I killed earlier, and I went on a walk to shake it off. That's when Scalaritus Fell showed up. I tried to switch to someone else to kill him, but everyone else was asleep, so it wasn't possible at the moment. Scalaritus is my butler, I guess, and he brought me a cool cape, and told me that he can't wait to see what evil shit I do next. The next day, Shadowheart told me that I had earned her trust, and she revealed the details of a mission that she had been sent on. She's supposed to take this artifact and bring it to Baldur's Gate, and that's pretty much all she knows, but it is nice that she opened up. My next area to victimize was the Blighted Village. Inside this barn, there's some strange noises going on. Some groans, some moans, and it's obvious that someone is getting their nut off. When I opened the door, Astarion just stood there with the funniest smile on his face. I, of course, killed the two lovers, but the image of them in the act will certainly never die. Gale stopped me after this and told me that he has a problem where he needs to eat people's clothes, or something bad will happen. Well, okay, he didn't say it just like that, but that's essentially what he means. I gave him a hat to snack on for now, and that seemed to tide him over. I killed the sleeping bugbear, and then began dismantling the goblins in the village. In one corner of the village, there's a house with 3 big ogres in it. Now, I'm not racist, but if I was, it would be against goblins and ogres. They're just always really mean, and they kill people, and... oh... okay, well, I'm usually nice about it at least. I snuck up and jumped them, which didn't really give them a lot of time to fight back, and because they're so close to each other, I was able to attack multiple at once. They got a hit or 2 in, but not much more. I took a break from goblin and ogre slaying to drop into this well and take on some spiders. There's 2 separate fights here, and the first one is moderately difficult. 2 medium-sized spiders and 2 ettercaps, whatever the f***ing ettercap is. It's really more obnoxious than it is hard, but they're just the warm-up, because as you move a little deeper into the cave, you find the phase spider matriarch. I didn't get to sneak up on them like I wanted to, and because of that, we had a rough time. But hey, if I can take on the Oathbreaker Knight at level 3, then I'm pretty sure I can handle some bugs at level 4. Shadowheart went down to some acid, but Mama Spider made a big mistake by running right at me, and between my big ass sword and Gale's unavoidable magic missiles, we exterminated the matriarch. You'd better believe I was going to sleep after that mess. When I did, I was awoken by Astarion trying to take a bite of me. I'm not sure how the red eyes and sharp fangs didn't give it away, but it's made clear here that Astarion is a vampire. He asks if he can have a little nibble of you, but if you do, you get a debuff for the next day, so I told him to go suck someone else. Morning came, and Shadowheart started the day by sharing one of her few memories she had with me. I guess Shar has taken the rest of her memories, but what she can remember is being saved from a wolf by the Mother Superior and some other Shar worshippers. Now she feels like she owes her life to Shar, and that's part of the reason that she's so dedicated to her cause. I knew all of this already, but it's always nice when she lets her guard down a little bit. And even better, she invited me to have a night alone with her, so now I had some more motivation to go finish off these goblins. Back in the village, Astarion got caught trying to shoot a goblin, and they threatened to tie him onto a windmill. These guys aren't shit compared to what I've been through at this point, so I just outright attacked them. The best part about learning that Astarion is a vampire is now I can bite people. I killed the leader Fezurk in 1 hit, and the rest of them tried their best, but to no avail. Now, these freaks already have someone tied to the windmill, Barkus Root. There's 2 levers you can either pull to help him or hurt him. The break lever and the release break lever. Of course, as not only the Dark Urge, but because I have to kill everyone, I pulled the release break lever and the poor guy went flying. That's it for the Blighted Village for now, because I actually forgot a couple people that are hidden away, but don't worry, I'll be back. To the east of the village, we find 3 adventurers that were outside of the grove when it was attacked. You remember Aradin? I damn near decapitated him earlier. I don't like these guys, so I had no hesitation in beating them up. Aradin was the only one really worth his salt, but I guess that wasn't saying much. I've got several different places I can go from here, but I chose Joaquin's Rest to be my next crime scene. This place is on fire because it was attacked by some goblin and drow raiders. Perfect time for me to swoop in. These sons of guns are no joke though, so I started the assault while they were all grouped up to maximize damage. The first round was full of misses on both sides, but this jerk, Gauntlet Dane, has an attack called Radiance of the Dawn, which almost always hits, and it hits all of us at the same time, so I was starting to sweat a little bit. That sweating got worse when I was almost almost dropped in one turn. We kept trading blows until Gale did actually get dropped in one turn, and I was down a man. Astarion was really my saving grace here, because while he was posted up on this roof, he was taking out people from a distance. I didn't mean to harp on this fight for so long, it just was a much closer call than I was expecting. Then, when the Flaming Fist members were all dead, I went inside, left Benrin to die in the flames, and saved, big air quotes on that, Counselor Floric. When we got outside, I had Astarion post up and shoot her, and Jesus, dude, 42 damage? Ouch! I felt like I had earned some Z's after that insanity, so I went back to camp. I had a really funny interaction with Astarion where he asked me who I would bite if I was a vampire. I'd never seen this before, so I thought he was actually gonna bite whoever I picked, so I picked lae'zel because, I mean, imagine the beating he would get from her if he did. I don't think he really does it, but this was a fun conversation regardless. Also, I would definitely bite Shadowheart, not just because I like her, but because everyone else is either a living bomb, we'll talk about that later, on fire, or boys. And contrary to popular belief, it's actually boys who have cooties, not girls. lae'zel would be the other option, but I'd like to avoid that aforementioned beating. I went to sleep after our conversation, and my night with Shadowheart began. Nothing crazy happens, no sex with bears or anything, but you do just get to sit and talk for a bit. Then, after a little while, you get your smooch on. Yeah, I've made the same mistake before when I married Lydia in Skyrim, but what? I can't be happy for a little while. Fun's over though, I've got so much more killing to do. I started the day by double checking that Benrin was actually dead, and yep, crispy, and then killed a poor frightened ox because I think he's the only frightened ox in the game, and I'm a monster. Remember those two guys from earlier, Rugen and Ollie? Well, those two are part of, let's call them an organization called the Zentarim. In this building, there are some Zent hiding out in the cellar. This poor soul, Salazan, is protecting that very cellar. I read his mind to learn the passphrase, reassured him he was in no danger, and then murdered him in ice-cold blood. Into the cellar, we meet the leader of this pack of Zentarim, Zaris. I really don't know what it is, but she just pets my peeve. I was cordial for the time being and gave her the shipment that Rugen and Ollie were transporting. This allowed me to do a little trading, I got some cool stuff, and then figured it was time to blow my load. You see, this place is set to pop pretty soon, so that these guys can leave and cover their tracks. But I'm an asshole, so I just blew everything up while they were still inside. It really only killed 2 people, but it always gives me a little chuckle. One of those 2 people was Oscar, who you can encounter again later in Baldur's Gate, but he's dead now, so I really hope that doesn't interfere with Lady Janeth's quest. I've still got the majority of the Zent left on the other side of the cave, so I crept over there and ended up making pretty quick work of everyone. Between Astarion's arrows and Gale and Shadowheart's spells, I've got a pretty strong advantage at long range, so they didn't really even get close to me. I looted the place and got out of there. This is when I realized I still had someone left in the Blighted Village, namely the ornate mirror. It's pretty durable, so I set a bomb next to it, backed away, and blew it up. That did the job. I also killed the Skeleton Guardian guys, but for some reason I didn't record it. I'm sure at least one person watching this is confused because I still had one person to kill here, but once again, don't worry, I'll be back. Most of the places I have left to go are kinda big, and I want to save those, so I made my way on down to Auntie Ethel's swamp. These 2 guys, Joel and Demir, are interrogating Ethel in an attempt to find their sister, and I know damn well that they're in the right, so I sided with them. Ethel retreated, and these poor guys went running into the swamp after her. I was gonna kill them myself, but this cutscene kind of f***ed it up, and they got away. It's all good though, I called them poor guys because no matter what you do, they end up dead in the swamp. I've gotta handle Ethel still, but on my way, I stopped and fought with the addled frog. This thing can be really obnoxious if you don't have the right tools to deal with it, but I have Gale who has magic missile, which is perfect for killing this little guy. I arrived at Ethel's door just as she was scolding Joel and Demir's sister, Mayrina. Now look, I've fought Ethel many times, but I have never, in all my days, seen her die in this room. I didn't even know it was possible, but watch for yourself. I had a critical hit on a pommel strike, which I didn't even know it was capable of doing that much damage, and I think that because she was dazed, she couldn't run away, and so with a Sacred Flame from Shart, I finished her off right here. I don't even have a funny quip for this, I'm just shocked. Usually killing her is this whole song and dance where you have to follow her into this nasty tunnel, but everyone in the tunnel was free of her curses. That sucks majorly for them though, because free or not, I still had to end them. First the folks in the gallery, then the masked trio, and then I found Mayrina. Mayrina was actually mad that you killed Ethel because Ethel promised to bring Mayrina's husband back to life, but as we should all know by now, a hag's word means nothing. I did use Ethel's staff to bring him back though. Bringing him back meaning raising his dead body to be a zombie, and then, you know, killing them both. Fun times. There's a little more fighting here. Next next with the monster hunter named Gandrel. Turns out that the monster that he's hunting is actually Astarion, which obviously makes this moment a bit awkward. I wasn't gonna give Astarion up just yet though, although I'm just now realizing that I could have probably and it wouldn't have affected anything, but we all ganged up on Gandrel, and while he did put the hurt on Astarion, he was no match for a full team. It's been 4 paragraphs since I've slept, so I hit the sack. I'm running out of ways to say I went to sleep. Before we actually slept though, Gale showed me some magic stuff, and though I dodged the romantic part of this event, I do usually let him have his fun. Now I'm really going to sleep. After I left camp, I realized that I never dealt with the red caps that are outside of Ethel's house, so I took care of them, which brought my team up to level 5. This is a huge milestone for me because not only has it been 6 f***ing pages since I hit level 4, but at level 5, some classes get something called extra attack, which is exactly what it sounds like. You get to do 2 attacks in 1 turn with only using 1 action. It might not sound that exciting, but it makes combat much easier when you're playing a hard-hitting class like a paladin. Like I said a bit ago, I mostly have big stuff left, and I think I'll start with the goblin camp. Before I do though, I stopped by the grove and sold some stuff, and realized I forgot to open the Zentarim package that I took back from Zarus' dead body. Inside is an iron flask, and I'm not gonna spoil what's in it if you don't know, because everyone's first time learning what's inside is extremely funny. Who knows though, I might use it later if we get in trouble. Also, there's a few other folks I want to kill here real quick. First, Nadira and the bugbear assassin. I let the assassin do his thing and then popped him as he was running away. I also hadn't learned at this point that putting turn-based mode on just stops everyone in their tracks, but I still made it happen without it. I'll use that later though, don't worry. On my way out, I saw Timber the squirrel, someone I had totally oh my god! What the f***? I didn't even click anything. Jesus, I don't think I can show that. Dark Urge is f***ed up, dude. I've got no time to feel bad about dead squirrels though, because I have an entire band of goblins to kill. Is it a band? Huh. What would you call a group of goblins? A gaggle? A herd? A school? Well, okay, definitely not a school. These suckers are sharing 1 brain cell. How about we call them a stench for now? The first stench was sitting outside the camp. Astarion sneakily killed the first goblin, but then was quickly caught. I came to his aid with each individual party member, getting a free shot in, and that cleared this stench right out. There's 3 more, like 20 feet from where the others were, but these guys are really weak, so it only took 1 hit each to take them out. When crossing the bridge to actually enter the camp, I started hearing the voice of the Absolute. It gave me a vision of 3 people, her chosen. These 3 will matter later on, but for now at least, I don't have to worry about them. The prism that Shadowheart's been carrying this entire time protected us from the voice, and we were back to normal. I really like in this game how people don't know crimes you've committed unless they saw you do it, because I was able to walk into the camp like I hadn't just killed those goblins outside. I traded with Grat, about the only thing a goblin's good for. Sorry, that was uncalled for. Goblins are people too, but not really. I got Volo in trouble by booing him, and then went inside the building where most of the goblins are. When we walked in, Gale tugged on me and told me he needed some fruit snacks. I let him eat a dirty necklace, and then he thought it was time to open up about why he's been eating my clothes. Basically, Gale explains that he has a magic bomb in his chest and needs to absorb magic artifacts to keep the bomb from busting. You have the option after this confession to either tell him to f*** off somewhere else, or you can tell him that you'll try and figure it out together. I asked him where he'd go if he left the team, and he said he'd go kill himself in the Underdark somewhere. Now, I paused here to see if that was true. If Gale leaves, does he actually kill himself, or is he just saying that? Well, I searched online, and I searched, but I could not find a single shred of evidence that Gale follows through on what he says. It seems like, and again, this is just based on what I can find, that you will just never see him again. So I decided to keep him around because I don't think people would be satisfied with me just saying, yeah, I think he killed himself. And honestly, I understand. We got a little sidetracked there, but I'm here to kill some goblins. Well, mostly goblins. There's a few other races here I need to kill too. One of those other people is Roa Moonglow. She's another Zentarim hanging out here to make some money. She's got some good stuff, so I traded with her and then made sure to tell her how I murdered all of her friends. She actually didn't seem to mind all that much, but did threaten that the Zentarim would be after me eventually. Ooh, scary, I know. Using the stuff I just bought from her, I sneak attacked her and her friends. I accidentally caught the attention of a goblin too, but he went down easy. I started with these folks because Roa and her pals will actually disappear if you attack the goblins first, and we can't have that. The goblin camp is set up nicely for killing everyone inside because most of the goblins are in smaller groups, and so I don't have to fight an entire army all at once. I think for fun, I'm gonna just read off all their names because they're insane, so stick with me here. First, we got Nicknuck, Krub, and Plague. They had a nice trip. Then Gerd, Clack, Zombie, and the prisoner Brackle. Again, please forgive me with the pronunciation. Their names are just really f***ing ugly. Then we got Eve, Nas, Neem, Gribbo, Tozad, and yes, Volo. Abderek, the kinky the torturers Grush and Spike, their victim Liam, whose dead body had a really bad time, 1 Plig, this one that the gate falls on, 3 Vrak, and the 2 wargs Fur and Tail. I always forget Halsin is here because I've never really cared that much about this guy, but hey, he's here and he wants to kill goblins with me. In the main hall, we got Grease, True Soul Gut, Shecht, Azak, Muzel, Bez, and Druk. In the back room, there's Kagrin and Narvas, Cry, Huck, Bolt, Rue, True Soul, Dror Ragzlin, and Nat. I killed the 2 spiders, don't even know if they have names, and then confronted the final True Soul here, Minthara, and her stench. You might notice that Astarion's gone, and that's for a good reason. I killed everyone here and then switched to Astarion, who I had posted up in the Grove. This guy only shows up if you have someone in the Grove when the last True Soul in the camp is killed, and so that's why I sent Astarion here. Problem is, I can't kill him if he's talking to Astarion, so I had to load back and send Shadowheart with him. When I did that though, I was able to switch to Shadowheart, but the guy was nowhere to be seen. My guess is that he isn't a real character anywhere in the camp, and he only exists in this cutscene, but hey, I tried, man. That being said though, that's the entirety of the Goblin Camp interior taken care of. It does make me sad to kill Minthara because I think she's actually a pretty compelling character if you have her as a companion, but she wouldn't be getting a chance to redeem herself today. That was a big one, so I ended the day. At night though, the tadpole in my brain started transforming me, and lae'zel tried to kill me to prevent it. I talked her down, but I was still in danger. I fell asleep and woke up in the astral plane to meet my guardian, Dump. Yeah, Dump! You guys don't know what the I'm talking about. Dump from Skyrim. He's the I killed every NPC OG. It's insane how far into this we've gotten without meeting our guardian yet, by the way. Dump tells us that he's using some sort of magic to protect you from turning into a mind flayer, and that he wants to help you defeat the Absolute. He's also the one who saved us from falling from the ship earlier. That's just about all we get from him for now, though. This day was going to be no small task because I still have to kill all of the jerks outside of the camp. I won't read all their names like I did with the ones inside, but just know that even though there were a lot of them out here, they got pretty creamed. In the midst of the killing, I found this cracked wall at the top of the camp, and I'd never seen it before, so I busted in. It just led back to the interior, but it was still cool to find. Then for some reason, Raphael decided to show up. I've definitely never had him appear here before, but hey, Raphael is a mysterious guy. Raphael, to those who don't know, is a demon. He transports you to his little corner of hell and tries his best to impress and coerce you to work with him. He says he can remove the tadpole in our head, but much like with the hag before, you should never make a deal with nefarious creatures like them. I told him to leave me alone, and he took me back to the camp. Back outside, I finished off all the stragglers. There were more of them than I remember being here, but it didn't really make a difference though, because they are all far too weak to stop me at this point. And apparently I had never killed the goblins at the entrance of the interior part, so I killed them all too. Oh, would you believe me if I told you that we are actually done with all the goblins? Not too bad, right? Well, that pretty much just leaves us with the Grove then. The tieflings are all conveniently lined up by the entrance, but I made a mistake on my first time killing them. Yes, I killed them all more than once. You see, before you go killing folks willy-nilly, you need to talk to Zevlor first and invite the tieflings to your camp to celebrate the goblins' defeat. I didn't do that on the first time I killed them all, so when I went back to camp later, there were no tieflings. So I loaded back, talked to Zevlor, and then restarted the slaughter beginning with him. For a race of people that descended from literal hell, I was kind of ripping through them like a weed whacker going through a baby's soft spot. I don't know why I said that, but I feel like the analogy was pretty clear. They were getting destroyed. Them all being grouped up over here is just so incredibly helpful, and I was clearing out several of them at a time. Roland pulled out that thunder wave that he's always talking about, but that was pretty much the most effective damage they managed to deal during this entire fight, and it didn't take long until all of the tieflings were dead. I went further into the Grove and killed Damon, not gonna need him if I don't have Karlach, and then I went to camp where there were some new tieflings. Baldur's Gate is really good at taking dead people into account, so for most of the tieflings that would normally show up in your camp, there are replacements that otherwise wouldn't even appear. That's why I had to make sure I invited them to my camp, because then otherwise we'd never see these guys. They're all really weak though, so it was like shooting fish in a solo cup. And I'm sure you guys are thinking I forgot a couple tieflings, but any of the ones that I wasn't able to kill in the camp now will hopefully show up in Act 2. Usually you can have a special night with some of your companions after saving the Grove, but Shadowheart wasn't feeling it, so I got in my bedroll all alone for the night. I started the next day with a jump scare from Halsin. dude. Literally the first thing I saw in the morning. Halsin kind of forces you to let him join your camp because he wants to travel with you to Act 2 and settle some business there. This doesn't matter right now, but I'm pretty sure it will later. I had exterminated all of the tieflings, but I still had to kill the actual residents of the Emerald Grove. There were about as many of them as there were tieflings, but they were generally a little stronger. A major benefit of killing every NPC, though, is getting an actual buttload of XP for your troubles. I've said it a few times already, but I was simply too strong. They could have tripled their numbers, but I still don't think it would have made a difference. The more powerful druids inside Druid HQ weren't able to do much either. Someone was missing though. Where the f is Kaga? I didn't see her inside, so I stole the idol of Sylvanas to see if that would bait her out, but nothing. It wasn't until I ran all the way back to the entrance that I actually found her. If she had backup, then she might have been trouble, but when I'm dealing like 30 damage at the very start of the fight, there's just not much that someone at her level can do. And with Astarion landing the final blow, I had successfully killed every single living being inside of the Emerald Grove. Except the kids. So like 60 pages ago now, I said that I had to go back to the Blighted Village to kill someone else, and this is when I remembered it. I went into the cellar where the mirror and the skeleton guys were, and picked up the scroll of Summon Quasit. This is Shovel, a mouthy but also endearing little Quasit, and this is Shovel falling off a cliff to his death. The scroll disappears from your inventory, and you can't summon him anymore. I made another quick stop on this hill to grab this little bag of spiders. Bye, spiders! There's only 2 more encounters to go before I've actually killed everyone in this section of the game. Outside of the mountain pass, a road that can lead to Act 2, there are some troublemakers. First, Elika. She got rocked. Then, for the last encounter, I stopped back at camp and traded in Astarion for lae'zel. She doesn't have to be here for this part, but I feel like she deserves to be. These are lae'zel's people, and... oh wait, that's not racist, right? Yeah, anyway, these are Githyanki sent here by Queen Vlaakith to retrieve the astral prism that we just happen to be carrying. They don't know that we have it though, and instead of playing it cool, I threatened them. Their leader, Vegeta, flies away on a cool dragon. He's not gone for good though, we'll see him later. Who is gone for good though is the Gith that remain here. I respect Shadowheart earlier to be a Tempest Domain cleric, and I think that is a great choice because she's much more versatile now. I'm getting off track though. The Githyanki put up a fight, but it wasn't nearly enough. And that's it. I mean, that's it for this section of the game. We're moving on from Act 1 to what I like to refer to as Act 1.5. I'm gonna try to speed through this section a bit because god damn it is this video long. The first person most people run into here is Lady Esther. She's kinda weird, and she asks you to steal a Githyanki egg from the creche we're about to go to. I don't f with Esther, so I crushed her skull. Also, she drops some really good items for a monk, and I might have to have someone try that out later. That down there is the monastery where the Githyanki are currently taking up residence, aka a creche. On the way there, I killed some ghouls and some death shepherds. I killed this poor blue jay that actually has a cute little quest you can do if you talk to him, and then I killed the people outside of the monastery before they could close the doors. Now I don't have to find another way in later, and I could just go in through here. I wasn't quite ready to go in there yet, as there's still some folks outside of the monastery I want to take care of. I went into the distillery, I think that's the word, and killed all of the drunk ass kobolds. I wish kobolds actually showed up more in this game because they're really funny and I like them. Being funny doesn't exclude you from death by my hand though. I climbed higher into the monastery and found a room full of Gramishka. What's a Gramishka? They're kind of like hairless cats that cry like human babies, and they get really weird around magic. I honestly, I feel like I can't explain them better than that. They weren't too bad though. That little battle brought me up to level 6, which is cool, and I'm now halfway to the max level. The only people left outside of the monastery were this Guardian of Faith, who couldn't really do much to fight back as long as I kept my distance, and these 2 giant eagles on the tippy top. I don't feel bad for killing these guys anymore because this isn't their nest, it's actually that little blue jay's nest that I killed earlier. But hey, we're done out here. Now let's go into the creche and get rid of everyone in there. The Githyanki are a pretty hostile race of people, but I'm much scarier than they'll ever be, so a little intimidation got me inside. This place is pretty big, but the room I always start in is the infirmary. Here, there is a huge turn for lae'zel's quest, and I'll show you why. This weird bug chair looking thing is called a Zaithisk. It's supposed to cleanse us of the tadpoles, and it's what lae'zel's been driving us towards for the whole game. I let her enter the Zaithisk. I I can't say it! You know what I'm trying to say. And pretty quickly, it's made clear that the Zaith'isk isn't going to cure her. It's going to kill her. I tried to get her out, but was unsuccessful, and she had to get her own way out before it disintegrated her. She was rightfully angry, and so was the doctor. I'm still not clear if this thing was supposed to kill the people that enter it or not, or if it was just gonna kill lae'zel or what, but the doctor is mad that something obviously went wrong, and she storms off. You can either break out of this room because the doctor locks you in, or you can wait long enough for her to come back. But regardless of what you do, she'll come back with some gift to kill you. For some reason during this fight, I just kept misclicking things and doing stuff that I didn't mean to, and I'm not sure what was going on, but I was gonna have to pull it together if I was gonna defeat the entire Kresh. I did end up winning this battle, but it was sloppy and certainly not up to my standards. I slept for the night after that and got right back into the action when we woke up. I went into the hatchery next because it's next door, and I killed the 3 people in the room. Well, technically there's more than 3, because there's also the Githyanki egg that Esther asked you to grab. This egg can actually hatch, and you can see the little that comes out later in Act 3, and he's crazy, but I'm gonna bypass that and abort him now. I made my way to the quartermaster, killing some people on the way, and then did some trading before, you guessed it, killing the person I just traded with. Classic. I killed the other people in here too, and while I was right here, I killed the Githyanki that were guarding the entrance. I mean, I did tell them I was a killer when I got here. It's not my fault they let my crazy ass in here. I've done pretty well so far, but this room, the trading room, had me a little worried. There's just a lot of them in here, but a well-placed fireball from Gale started the fight off strongly in our favor. Like really strongly, because there was only 4 of them left and 2 of them were severely injured. I did what I do best and killed the rest of them. Another great thing about Baldur's Gate is the pure freedom that you have to handle situations in so many different ways, and I was about to abuse that. I killed these 2 idiots, realized that I hadn't eaten any tadpoles yet, and then consumed like, I don't know, 7 of them or something gross, and then went to bed so I'd be at full strength to carry out my master plan. Now, there's some NPCs here that typically run away really fast and won't give me much time to kill them. This time though, I placed a lightning glyph outside the door, entered turn-based mode when they stepped on it, and then let the fireball chopper sing. The fireball went off, made them my enemies, and then that activated that lightning glyph and finished off the ones that survived the fireball. I was giggling like a psychotic little kid after that. I love the freedom that this game gives you, and I couldn't believe how well my plan worked out. Then Kithrak Therazin was in prime murdering position and didn't even know it. I cooked her and her dogs with another fireball, folded her with a huge divine smite, and then ganged up on the other Githyanki in the room. The Kithrak drops a very solid sword for lae'zel because it gets bonuses when being wielded by a Gith. I know it's surprising, but we are almost done with the Kresh now. The, I guess, final boss of the Kresh is Wawargaz and his lackeys. Thankfully, they don't just attack you on sight, and the way that they were standing lined them up perfectly to get destroyed by a lightning bolt. Man, Gale is really carrying me through this section, huh? I'd say the rest of us pulled our weight here though, because in the first turn alone, we killed everyone except for the big man, and after missing damn near everything on turn 2, I killed him on the 3rd turn. But just when we thought it was over, the boss's boss showed up. This is Vlaakith, the queen of the Githyanki. I don't f with Vlaakith. She's rude, she's old, and she's a huge stinky liar. I won't get super into her story yet, I'll save that for later, but I was certainly not kneeling to someone like her. She commanded that we enter the astral prism and kill its occupant. Now, I always assumed that she was talking about our guardian, but there's actually someone else residing in the prism as well, and again, we'll talk about that later. I did enter the prison though, not because she said to, but because I wanted to. I also wanted to give lae'zel some peace of mind, because after this whole Kresh adventure, I feel like she definitely deserved it. I entered the prism, and Dump explained to me that he had stolen the prism from Vlaakith, and that he has secrets about her that could not only end her rule as queen, but those same secrets are also keeping us alive. I trust him, and even though he had submitted to me, I told him to get his ass up. I shared everything he told me with lae'zel using the power of our tadpoles, and she didn't really know what to think. I always feel bad for her here, because the queen she has dedicated her life to is really not as all-powerful and noble as her people believe her to be, and now lae'zel is one of the very few people to know that fact, and it's hard for her to accept. But for the second of 3 times in this video, we've done it. I've officially killed everyone in the mountain pass. That just leaves us with one last area. When we went to bed that night, Vegeta showed up at our camp and told lae'zel that he wants to help us take down Vlaakith. I could kill him here, but I'm 99% sure I'd miss out on killing his dragon and some other people later if I do that now, so we agreed to work together and we went back to sleep. There's a couple ways to get to the Underdark, but the way I like to take is through the goblin camp. Gut, one of the true souls I killed earlier, has a passage through her— oh shit! Pulma! How did I forget about you? Okay, well, bye, Pulma. Anyway, there's a little puzzle back here that opens up a way to the Underdark. I descended the ladder, and boom, Underdark. Pretty close to the way we came in, there's an ambush waiting for us. This Doom extra shows up and turns a bunch of statues into people. Well, they were already people, but they were turned to stone. But now they're people again, and man, I'm so tired. I didn't kill the spectator as fast as I probably could have because I was letting him unpetrify everyone so that I could kill them as people and not as statues. And not as statues. Then a quick jaunt to the west, I think it's west, will lead you right to the Bulette. By the time it even got to take a turn, it only had 4 health left. Needless to say, RIP. The next little area is such a magical place. This, my friends, is the Festering Cove. These little guys are Kuotoa, and they are worshipping a god named Bual, who is obviously a parody of the god of murder in this universe, Baal. I told him I could show him what real death looks like because I wanted him to take that as a threat, but he gave me a little weapon, and I guess he thought that I would kill for him. He was most definitely wrong though, because my gang and I started attacking him and his congregation. Bual was less than impressive, and the Kuotoa were already weak to begin with, so they didn't last long. This whole thing is just so silly, and I always enjoy coming down here. I was spent by the end of the fight and called it a night. Then for some reason, lae'zel and Shadowheart started bickering like little girls. Why on earth are they acting like they just met? And lae'zel is talking about the prism like she doesn't already know what it is? I don't know, man, but things got really ugly in the middle of the night when Shadowheart got on top of lae'zel, and God, it should have been me. I'm sorry, what are we talking about? Oh, right. I calmed her down, they made nice, and we were all friends again in the morning. Back to the Underdark, I hit the Arcane Tower next. There's only one unique NPC here, Bernard, but he's a little hostile, so I fought with him and these random suits of armor that appeared to help him. I made sure to target Bernard first because once he's gone, the animated armors can't really do much by themselves. The next place I want to go is the Decrepit Village. No, not the Blighted Village from earlier, the Decrepit Village. There's some mean little guys here. I do not like these guys because A, they're mean, and B, they're slave drivers. And I don't know about you guys, but personally, I think owning slaves is whack. By being nice and sneaky, I shut them all down before they had a chance to fight back. Between the Arcane Tower and these dudes, I needed to sleep. We woke up and hopped right on this boat. We sailed into the dark, presumably wherever those guys came from. On the way, a boat of other Dwergar shows up and interrogates us. Of course, I pushed this little dickhead into the water and then killed all of his friends. Sometimes being evil is fun. And hey, level 7! Now, in this place, I can't sleep, because if I do, some things can get messed up. Some people can get away, and I wouldn't have effectively done my job. So I didn't waste any time and killed these 2 assholes on the docks. Also, I just realized I'm swearing a lot suddenly, and I think it's just because I hate these guys. I'm sorry. I continued the killing against Mermath and his gaggle of spiders. Gaggle? What would you call it? You know what? I can just look this one up. Kathy, what do you call a group of spiders?
A group of spiders is called a cluster or a clutter.
Thank you, Kathy. There were 2 Dwergar off to the side who were throwing dead slaves into the water. I beat the ever-loving Dookie out of them and then paid my respects to their victims. And then, what I did, Shadowheart piped up with some out-of-pocket shit. The audio's messed up for some reason, but she said, "Save your prayers for someone who at least had the spine to fight back." What? You should never hit a woman, but you can... But I cracked her ass for that. Moving on, there's a very important encounter coming up. This is Philomene. Normally, you have to talk to Philomene and stop her from blowing everyone up, but I instead just snuck up on her and killed her. This is an important encounter because of this barrel of rune powder. That's going to be very useful later. I went around after that and just started putting the hurt on anyone I could find. These meanie head wranglers, and yes, unfortunately, they're animals, a Maragon and his Hellsboar buddies, some architects or something of that sort, some more animals, and then came the big fight. I wrote in my notes, I didn't mean to start this fight, but dude, I clearly meant to start this fight. I have no idea what past me was talking about. This fight was a little easier than you might expect because we had somewhat of a funnel that the enemies would have to go through to actually get close. Then I could just light people up with spells and attacks in the funnel, and once again had found a way to gain an advantage. Although, to be fair, I didn't really even mean to do that on purpose, so it just kind of worked out that way. These guys were all over here to try and clear out the rubble blocking this door. I tried to kill the slaves quick and easy with a fireball, but old Lunkbug ate that shit, and I was forced to Eldritch Blast him. I used a rune powder vial I got from Philomene, not the barrel, just the vial, to blow the rubble away, and out came Nier. Well, okay, he didn't actually come out. lae'zel got in there and took her life's worth of anger out on him, and completely destroyed him. The other slaves that were trapped in there with Nier were already dead. We aren't quite done with this area yet, because we still need to get into the actual forge part of the Grim Forge. Further on, we found some Shar worshippers' bodies, and I I basically was like, damn, that's crazy. And then Shart had the gall to say I hope my remains are treated with a little more dignity. Have you lost your mind? Hippo crit. As we get closer to the forge, there's some enemies to take care of. First, this band of magma methods. Band? What would you call a group of... okay, Bit's dead, I know. I killed them, this lava elemental. I made sure to grab this sentient amulet because it's gonna be useful for later. And then before the boss fight of this area, I went to sleep. I said before that I can't sleep here, but everyone's dead now, so it doesn't matter anymore. Then comes the aforementioned boss fight. This guy, Grim, is the protector and namesake of the Grim Forge. He is one tough cookie. My battle with Grim was the toughest battle I had fought since I was level 3 and took on the Oathbreaker Knight. His resistances are pretty scary, and you have to keep him in a state that the game calls superheated, so that his metal body will get weakened by the hot lava. By the end of the fight, Gale was dead and lae'zel wasn't far behind. And then when Gale dies, his spectral self appears and starts yapping about how he has this very specific method to resurrect him should he die. But I just ignored everything he said and used a scroll of revivify, dumb word, that I already had and brought him back. While I was here, I used the forge to make some very tough adamantine heavy armor that I will likely be wearing for the rest of the game. You'll never guess what I did next. Guess what? This is the final day in Act 1. That's right, everything we've got left is getting done right now, so let's not waste any time. The major area we need to deal with is the Myconid colony. I talked to Blurg when I got there, and had him summon his Mind Flayer buddy. I gotta be honest, I have no idea if killing them here has any consequence for later, but boy do I hope not, because they are DEALTHY space NOT space ALIVE. I went over to Thula, who was dying because she was poisoned, and she gave me permission to put her out of her misery, which is funny because I had an antidote that would have fixed her right up, but you know, I gotta do my job. The Myconid leader wanted proof that Nier was dead, so I went back to the forge, found his body, cut his head off, and brought it to him. He was so happy that he deemed me Life Chanter, which is unbelievably ironic considering what I'm gonna do to his whole group of people in like 40 seconds. Before I could kill them all, I took Sovereign Glut, I don't know, I don't pay attention, to the lake where I had killed the Dwergar earlier because he wanted to see it with his own eyes. This inspired him to take Sovereign Spaw's position as leader, and I told him I'd help him because why not? Spaw didn't like that very much, and he attacked me. Well, he didn't get the chance. Oh my god, I think I just did 103 damage with that hit. Then when Glut was celebrating his newfound leadership role, I hit him with a fireball. I proceeded to kill Glut and every other Myconid remaining in the colony. Maybe they would have had a chance if they were standing around me with, I don't know, like AK-47s, but as it was, the plant folk were absolutely helpless. The only people left here were Dareth and her pet. I made their deaths very quick. We only have two, count them, two unique NPCs left. First, we need to find Dareth's husband, Braylon. He's not too far from the Myconid colony, but he is in a bad spot. He's surrounded by what's called Bibberbang, a highly explosive and highly toxic plant that, oh yeah, that should kill him. Wait, what? How in the hell did he survive that? Okay, well, sorry man, you've got to go one way or another. The very last remaining NPC is blocked by some hook horrors. I took care of them though, and kinda ran into the last guy accidentally. This is Philro the Forgotten. Ironic name, I know. And this is Philro's dead body. I killed the last hook horror and took a nice deep breath. I had really done it. It took a 27-page script, but I had killed every NPC in Baldur's Gate 3's first act. I know that isn't as powerful as a statement as just saying I killed every NPC, but I feel more accomplished than I think I ever have in any of my videos ever. Even just the first act took so much planning and research, so I cannot imagine how insane Act 2 and God forbid Act 3 are gonna be. I could use some help from you guys. Let me know if there's anyone I missed in Act 1, or if there's any obscure or off the beaten path NPCs in the second or third act that I should keep an eye out for. I haven't even started working on Act 2 yet, so your input can still be very valuable. If you made it this far, I truly don't even know what to say to you. You might just be as crazy as I am. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in Act 2. GG's everyone. If you are here, then you have likely seen my previous video where I killed every NPC in Baldur's Gate 3's first act. Well, I was pretty close at least. You see, I missed some folks, I killed some people that I should have saved for later, and I can't live with that. So I did the totally reasonable, insane thing and killed everyone all over again, for what would now be the third time. I'm going to very quickly go over everyone I missed in my first go around, and also talk about everyone who I wound up saving. And to be very clear, I didn't just kill the people I missed again, I killed everyone. Starting off in the Nautiloid, somehow I forgot about the 2 Cambions that come in when there are only 10 turns left to reach the transponder. I think it took almost 2 hours to figure it out, but I did eventually get Zulk, the Mind Flayer, and the Cambions in one clean sweep. Then by where you first meet Astarion, there's a poor little boar that I killed. There's a rat in the grove that has a cute quest you can do. Tusk, who disappeared on me last time. Then in the Blighted Village, I destroyed the Necromancy of Thay because it releases these shadow guys. And I saved Barkus from the windmill this time because someone said that I would need him for Act 2. I don't know if they're right or not, honestly, but we'll find out. I let Counselor Floric go from Joaquin's Rest, and I mentioned him in my last video, but I also saved Oscar from the Zentarim because he'll be important in Act 3. I didn't let Joel and Demir get away this time. I took out the Shadow Druids that are conspiring with Kalga, something I'd never uncovered before and would have never known about it without help from you guys, so thanks for that. I left Murkon alone long enough for the Harpies to get him. I broke the mirror in the Hag's Nest because it has a guy's spirit in it, and then while I was there, I also let Mayrina go because, like Oscar, she pops up again in Act 3. I killed this disheveled chicken in the Goblin Camp, let Volo go so he can show up later as well. He took my f***ing eye out, by the way. It's cool. I like it. And then I had to make a big decision. I missed 2 groups last time, the Tiefling Kids and Minthara's raiding party. If I let the kids get killed, then I'm 90% sure that some other Tieflings will also get away during the attack, but if I kill the raiders, then the kids get to live. I decided to kill the raiders and then kill all of the Tieflings I could afterwards. It worked surprisingly well, and Halsin was still cool with me. I knocked out Minthara during the fight to see if she would show up again in Act 2, so we'll see what happens there. In Act 1.5, I didn't kill Esther, and in fact even gave her the Githyanki egg so that we can see what comes out of it. Then I pulled up on Elminster, who I was planning on starting Act 2 with, but if you attack him here instead of later, then he'll actually fight back, and boy did he. Into the Underdark, I killed Skickpit and these other turds. I fought these 3 mimics who I had never seen before, thanks again to you guys, and finally killed the Minotaur in the northeastern area. Aside from those folks that I killed or spared, I made all of the exact same choices as I did in my first go, so that this playthrough wouldn't feel disconnected at all. Same relationships, same companions, same dead Karlach. Now we're all caught up, and we can finally begin killing every NPC in Baldur's Gate 3's second act. I actually forgot to sleep after finishing Act 1, so that's the first thing I did. I know this is such a strange thing to start with, but lae'zel told me she's been looking at me differently lately. In Act 1, I was romancing Shadowheart, but you know what? I think maybe it makes a little more sense for this character to be with lae'zel. I mean, it probably would make more sense to be with Minthara, to be fair, but I don't even know if she's alive or not, so I told lae'zel that I liked her too, and now I think we're gonna bang? Again, weird way to start off, I know, but hey, a man's gotta do what a tall tiefling woman's gotta do. That being said though, I'm leaving her in camp for now. She doesn't have a lot of story stuff going on for now, so we'll see her later. I also dropped Gale off for the same reason and picked up both Astarion and Will. Oh right, I killed him so he wouldn't get mad at me for killing all the tieflings. Sorry buddy, welcome back. I want Will because he hasn't gotten any real screen time other than being bullied, and Astarion has some quest stuff to do here. And for those wondering, here's a look at my difficulty settings because there were a lot of people asking about it. I have the character power set to Explorer, but everything else is set to Tactician, and personally I think it's a pretty balanced way to do it. It's about that time though, we are finally entering the Shadow-Cursed Lands and have officially begun Act 2. I took the Grimforge elevator to get here, so that means our first encounter is going to be with this group of Harpers. What's a Harper? They're like... So the thing about the Shadow-Cursed Lands is that it is cursed by shadows. Duh, I know. But shadows are killing and corrupting people, and this guy, Harper Jonas, gets sucked into the darkness and is turned into a shadow-cursed guy. Some other shadows show up, and it's fighting time. This fight wasn't really that hard or complicated, but another thing about this place is that you need some sort of light source to prevent yourself from being corrupted from the darkness. But the shadows are weak, so I made it through. This also got me to level 8, which was nice because it's gonna be a couple of pages until we see level 9. I followed those Harpers down the road and rolled up to an important location for Act 2, Last Light Inn. Solid name, because this is one of the few places where the shadows can't get you, for now. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Jaheira. Jaheira is the one in charge around here, and she is not all too welcoming to us at first, specifically because we are infected with that tadpole, or in my case, like 8 of them. Then, kinda out of nowhere, a flaming fist named Marcus comes to vouch for us. Problem is, we've never met Marcus. He is also infected with a tadpole, and he tells tells us to trust him. He even goes so far as to say we helped him fight off cultists a while back. I do not with liars, and thus I am not interested in his help. I narked, and suddenly no one could remember how they met Marcus. That's because he isn't actually one of them, and he drops the act. He attacks, summoning a huge horde of crawling claws. Am I the only one who this has never happened to before? I mean, no, I totally planned this. Yeah, this was absolutely planned. This fight was fine. They all only have 2 health each, so it's not like they're that dangerous, and I do love me some AoE attacks, so I cut them all down pretty fast. This fight convinced Jaheira to give me the benefit of the doubt, and I was able to actually enter Last Light. I started by doing some trading with the quartermaster of this place, and then went and talked to Jaheira some more. She wanted to know a bit more about me, and drugged my tea with some truth herbs to make sure I didn't lie to her. I said it before though, I don't like liars, so I just told her the truth about everything. She, in turn, told me about the scourge of this land, a man who has single-handedly brought ruin to this place. He is General Ketheric Thorm.
Remember that name.
Jaheira also told me that they have a way to combat the Shadow Curse, and it's with the blessing of a Selûnite cleric named Isabel. I stopped and talked to Isabel, she gave me her blessing, and now I can traverse most of the lands without getting a debuff every 5 seconds, though it's worth noting that there are some places where this blessing won't be enough to stave off the Shadow Curse. Just as I was talking to her, though, a familiar face popped in. Marcus is back, and this time he is on orders directly from Ketheric to bring Isabel to Moonrise Towers alive. He once again offers an alliance, but I can't have Isabel jetting off quite yet, so I turned him down. I guess he wasn't all too happy about that because he summoned some winged horrors as reinforcements and our battle began. Marcus is fairly tough, but the real problem is that he will just pound on Isabel if you let him, and if she goes down, it's game over. Well, not really, but I can't let her go just yet. Isabel's room got crowded pretty quickly, but Will cleared the horrors out and I was able to focus back on Marcus. Marcus was also focused on me because I used the spell Compel Duel on him, so he was leaving Isabel alone for now. I hit a huge Divine Smite and then Shart finished him off with a Shatter. The winged horrors got cleaned up pretty easily without their leader, and Isabel was safe for the time being. Downstairs in the inn, there's a man named Art who is in some sort of trance-like slumber. He's singing a song about him and a boy named Thaniel. Aside from being a god's awful name, sorry to my Thaniels out there isn't much more to glean from this encounter. That is, until we go back to camp and tell Halsin about it. He makes his way to the inn because he knows Thaniel and believes that saving him is the key to lifting the Shadow Curse. Unfortunately, we can't really do anything at the moment because we lack the necessary tools to break Art out of this state. We are encouraged, though, to go to the House of Healing to see if there's anything of use there. That's where we'll be going next. Well, after I get sidetracked like 100 times. Speaking of sidetracked, Barcus is here. Barcus wants us to free his friend Wulbren from Moonrise Towers, so I'll keep that in the back of my mind for now. On the way out of the inn, some Harpers stopped me and told me that they're setting up an ambush on some absolute cultists because they believe that the cultists have found some way of traversing even the deepest, darkest depths of the Shadow-Cursed lands. I joined them to the ambush site, and after a moment or two, the cultists arrived as planned. With them is a Drider by the name of Kar'niss. He carries with him a glowing lantern that I'll touch on again in a minute. The fight began, and Kar'niss put to use a very underrated spell, Sanctuary. It makes you essentially invincible to direct attacks, except attacks that cover a wide area, like the AoE attacks I mentioned earlier. The rest of the enemies were your run-of-the-mill goblin trash though, so the fight was fairly weighted in my favor. After that fight, I simply could not resist attacking the Harpers when they were all grouped up like this, and I killed them without any trouble. On the body of Kar'niss is the lantern I was talking about. Inside of the lantern, there's a pixie named Dolly. She's what gives the lantern its shadow fighting glow. She, of course, wants to be free of this prison, so I smashed it on the ground. Honestly, I assumed that was gonna kill her, but she survived somehow. I accidentally let her go, so I had to load back. This time I crushed her between my fingers, a product of being the Dark Urge. Something I didn't realize, though, is that I somehow still got the Pixie's blessing. I am 99.9% sure that that's not supposed to happen, because even on the wiki it states that doing this, crushing the Pixie, yields no benefits, forcing the player to find another moon lantern if they want to traverse the stronger areas of the Shadow Curse. My guess is that I got this glitch because I originally let her go and then immediately loaded back. Either way, this is a major win for me. We've been through quite a bit, so I called it a night here. When I did, the ever so lovely Mizora showed up, though this time she was looking a little different, almost like she was some sort of projection. She came here to assign Will with a new task to free one of Zariel's assets from the bowels of Moonrise Towers. Will has no choice but to accept, as disobeying him would break his contract and he would be sent to Avernus to fight in the Blood War as a little blob of of meat. A pretty terrifying fate, and one that he is keen on avoiding. Astarion also stopped me to tell me that he would like to find Raphael again, as this time he liked to make a literal deal with the devil. Also, I called Raphael a demon in Act 1, and I was wrong. He's not a demon, he's a devil. There's a difference. My bad. I fell asleep and was greeted with my guardian. What, dude, what the f are you wearing? How's he so slutty all of a sudden? What happened to the cool armor he had in Act 1? Sorry, I don't even remember if he said anything important. I can't get over that godforsaken outfit. Morning came and I went back to trying to find the House of Healing. Another interruption hit me as I came across this little clearing that's decorated with these ghostly looking torches. I've seen this place many times, but I'd never figured out what I was supposed to do here, so I did the normal person thing to do and just broke all the torches. Turns out that's exactly what I was supposed to do. When the last one broke, a handful of shadow mastiffs spawned and attacked. Good thing I'm so reckless, otherwise I would have totally missed this encounter. From all my killing in Act 1, I am very strong, so I old yellered them all. I also found this group of measles lying in wait and handled them too. There's definitely a mumps joke in there somewhere, but I got nothing. Would you believe me if I told you I found a way to distract myself again? I stumbled across the toll house next, and inside of here there is a very, let's say, interesting NPC. This is Garangoth Thorm. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how they say it in the game. The last name Thorm may sound familiar, and though their exact relation isn't totally clear, it is obvious that this woman is related to Ketheric Thorm in some way. It's also clear that she has been corrupted by the Shadow Curse and now only lives for the sole purpose of collecting gold. It may seem insane, but I actually gave her all of my gold. If you do that and you have enough, she'll give you a signed trade visa, which is essentially a scroll for the spell Flesh to Gold, which can be very powerful. I certainly wasn't going to let her keep all that money though, so I attacked her when she had her back turned. The toll house is full of these little skull guys, visages, that reinforce Garangoth's power. It is paramount that you take them out before you let her have too much fun, because she can be very tough otherwise. I couldn't get them all in one turn, but she took it easy on me on her second turn. I then got them all on the next go around, and Garangoth shed her gold armor and revealed her real, twisted form. She is incredibly weak in this state, so one attack took her down. I got my 9,000 gold back, looted the rest of the toll house, and then went to bed. That night, my silly butler guy Scaleritis showed up again. I haven't seen him for quite some time, and I've also never made it this far in a dirge playthrough before, so I was kind of excited to see him. He came to task me with a simple quest: kill the cleric of Selûne, Isabel. Isabel, the one thing keeping the last light in from being overtaken by the Shadow Curse. Well, I planned on doing it eventually anyway, so I can't say this request really shook me. The next day, I again got off track when I came across the Waning Moon. The Waning Moon is a bar, chock full of alcohol that we can use for camp supplies. It is also home to yet another Thorm, Thisibald Thorm. Again, the relation isn't super clear, but he does call Ketheric father, but honestly I think that's more of a term of endearment rather than a direct claim of kinship. Regardless of their relationship, I sat down and started a conversation with him. He, like Garangoth before him, is in a weird, decrepit state of being. He's so full of, presumably booze, that he is literally bursting at the seams. The easiest way to take care of this guy is to simply have a drink with him. There's no chance in the 9 hells that I would actually drink this in real life, but my Tav has been through quite a bit at this point, and a drink shouldn't kill me. As we drank, Thisibald demanded to hear stories of my adventures. I told him about the goblins I've encountered, but that didn't seem to interest him. So instead, I made up a lie about seeing all of Faerûn from the peaks of the spine of the world. He liked that much better, and in turn, he shared some information about how the lands came to be as they are now. Over the course of our drinking, Thisibald exposed some sensitive information about how Ketheric is the one who caused this curse, and how his supposed immortality is less immortal than it seems. Apparently, the secret to his immortality is something buried in the Thorm tomb. After revealing that, Thisibald had downed one too many, and he popped like a water balloon filled with guts. I killed the blighted fellows inside the bar, and went back to looking for the House of Healing. Turns out it's been marked on my map this entire time. Who knew? But to no one's surprise, by now, I got stopped once again. This time by some shadow-cursed mobs around this statue. I swept them pretty effortlessly, and then took a real close look at the monument they were surrounding. Like the ghost torches, I've seen this thing before, but I've never really did my due diligence in investigating it. This time, I happened to read the plaques in the correct order, and a door in the back of the statue opened up. Inside, there are some statues of the goddess Shar. You can talk to them, pass some checks, and yet another door will be opened up for you. There's an altar in this room, and I'm loyal to no god, so I gave some blood and was rewarded with some pretty cool items. I'm really done getting interrupted now, and I pulled up to the House of Healing. Inside, there are some shadow-cursed, I think, nurses? I killed the 2 that are on their own, and then found the operating room where yet another Thorm was located. This is Malice Thorm. I believe Malice is actually Ketheric's uncle, if I'm not mistaken, and he is batshit crazy. He's performing surgery on this poor guy. I apparently piqued his interest and he told me that he wants to cure me. If that's what the cure looks like, I am not interested. I told him that his nurses could use some practice, and I, without save scumming mind you, convinced Malice that they should practice their skills on him. He laid down and the sisters got to work. In mere moments, Malice was no more. Then of course I killed all of the nurses and the House of Healing was now vacant. On Malice's body, I found a battered lute. I took the lute to Art, who was still unconscious, and played a little ditty for him. That woke him right up, and he and Halsin determined our next course of action. Before we take that action though, I need to be fully rested. When trying to go to sleep that night, lae'zel woke me up. I totally forgot we were gonna do the horizontal mambo, but what she said threw me off a little bit. lae'zel didn't want to smash. She wanted to smash blades. lae'zel challenged me to a fight, to prove myself to her and bruise her to make her mine. This is incredibly crazy, but it's the exact kind of crazy that I can get behind. I f***ed up a little bit though. My first try, I decimated her in one turn. Fully killing her ruins this encounter, and she didn't talk to me after I picked her up. I had to load all the way back to the Shar monument from earlier because I forgot to save before our scuffle. It was worth it though, because after holding back a little bit this time, lae'zel and I had a surprisingly cute moment together. We kissed, and all thoughts of Shadowheart left my body. I talked to Wool Shart in the morning and broke it off with her so that I could be with lae'zel. Like I said at the start, I feel like this kind of makes more sense for this playthrough. I also respect Astarion to be a fighter slash rogue instead of just a rogue so that he could get action surge and extra attack. This, in my opinion, made him much more useful than he previously was. I was gonna need him too, because what Halsin needs us to do is to protect this portal for him while he goes in and retrieves Thaniel. Sounds easy until you see the absolute legion of people that come to stop you. I can't narrate this whole fight because there's just so much going on, but thanks to some well-placed AoE attacks that I'm ever so fond of, I was able to hold off long enough for Halsin to come out safely with Thaniel in tow. Halsin took Thaniel to camp for now, I traded some of that loot that the Horde dropped me, and then once again went to bed. In camp, Halsin talked to me about Thaniel's current state. It turns out that Thaniel is missing part of his very being. Out in the shadow-cursed land somewhere, I'll have to go find this missing essence of his. Before bed, I tried to kiss lae'zel, but she's not into public displays of affection, I guess, so I went to bed kissless. Remember kids, consent is cool. I'm off now to find this missing part of Thaniel, but on the way to where Halsin told me to go, I ran into this big mob of shadow-cursed tree things. They were actually really tough, probably one of the tougher fights I've had in a good while, which was fun, but also a pain in the ass, especially Astarion's ass, because they turned that man into Swiss cheese. I killed them, but damn, who knew trees had hands like that? I arrived to the area that Halsin pointed out and found a boy named Oliver. That's my dog's name. Isn't he cute? My dog, not the kid. I don't f with kids. I tried to grab a hold of him, but the boy slipped away into a portal of his own. This one led to that monument I had been in earlier, but this time I had a little boss fight to do. Oliver himself is weak, but he keeps himself in this little bubble and uses summons to fight for him. He summons Daddy, Mummy, and this big bastard Shadow Plush. I bested him in this little game though. Oliver conceded and returned back to Thaniel. I went to camp to check on Thaniel, and then it occurred to me, how am I gonna kill this kid? I tried lots of things, turning his flesh to gold, but he would always break out. I tried throwing him off a cliff, but he'd just pop back up. I tried turning him into a sheep and then throwing him off a cliff, but again, he'd just show right back up. I tried lots of things, but I think I'm really gonna need you guys for this one. Is there a way to kill Thaniel? Because if there is, I couldn't find it. But please, if you're a psychopath and you know of a way to get rid of this little bastard, let me know. For now though, Halsin has kinda outlived his usefulness, and I attacked him. It was really sad because he just refused to fight back, but a couple of hits was all it took, and Halsin was no longer with us. I've got a little more running around to do before making any more big moves. I ran into Corilla while I was out and about. She was weird and then just vanished. And then I went off the beaten path to find this guy standing over a dead body. This is He Who Was. He is here to bring a little harsh justice. You see, this dead lady, Madeline, apparently betrayed her friends when she was alive and has yet to be punished for it. I agreed to help him with this little quest, and I gave him Madeline's ledger that I found on Thisabald's popped body earlier. He Who Was inserts Madeline's spirit into his own body and asks me to punish her. How did I punish her? Well, her friends were forced to stab themselves with daggers until they died, so I had her do the same. But then, when her spirit left her body, this guy was mad that I punished her. I did what I said I would do. He attacked me, and I killed him and his raven. I know he drops some gloves that let you summon a raven yourself, but if you get the gloves, he disappears, and I think killing him and his raven is more important than getting those gloves. I then spent a little time time just filling out the northeastern area of the map. It didn't seem like I missed anyone over here, other than this little ambush, which, man, these guys are always tougher than they look. I felt comfortable now to make one big stride in killing all of the NPCs in this act. I'm setting my sights on the last light in. If you kill Isabel, then everyone dies. But to be absolutely sure, I started killing some of the Harpers first, just to make sure they wouldn't get away. These ones by the water specifically, because I don't remember seeing them again. Before I could get much further though, I got sidetracked by this cellar door. I have never seen this place. I cannot believe how much I have missed with this much time in the game. In the cellar, there's a group of mean locks. What's a mean lock? Your guess is as good as mine. I killed him though. I went back to the surface and did a little trading before I was good and done with this place. I also took out these 3 oxen in the barn, and what the f is that? Didn't I already kill this guy in the grove? Why is he here? And why is he a big blob? Okay, whatever. I'm done asking questions at this point. I went inside and killed this cat because, again, I can't remember if it dies on its own or not, and then took a quick nap before finishing off the inn. When I confronted Isabel in the morning, I didn't waste any time in attacking her. Weirdly enough, a nearby Harper joined in on my side, which, hey, I said I'm done asking questions, so cool. As we know, Isabel is a cleric. Clerics are very useful, but they aren't always too powerful on their own, so Isabel went down pretty quickly. When she did, the protective barrier around the inn started crumbling, and a winged horror swooped in and flew off with Isabel's body. Will was incredibly upset, Jaheira wanted an explanation, but frankly, we don't got time for all that. Other than my party and Jaheira, everyone here was either turned into shadow-cursed beings, or they were killed by the shadow curse directly. That meant that we've got a huge fight on our hands. None of them are particularly strong, but there are a lot of them, so I didn't get too comfortable. Some big tree root shadow tentacle things also appeared, but eventually we cleared out all signs of life at the inn. Jaheira blamed herself for the whole thing, which was sad, but she did agree to join my camp. And that whole scuffle brought me to level 9. That's a wrap for Last Light though. Everyone inside was dead, including Art, the Flaming Fist, and yes, even Barkus. I think he served his purpose in giving me the Wolverine quest though. That was enough action for one day, but wouldn't you guess who showed up in my camp again that night? Scaleritis. He said he had another gift for me, and I'm just gonna let you guys see for yourself. Yeah, what the fuck? It's called the Slayer form, and it's something I've seen another character do later in the game, but I didn't know I was going to be able to do it myself. I tested my strength out on Scaleritis, but he came back. I'm all messed up in the head, man. I have an immortal butler, and I have a new monster form. Big night for me. I told lae'zel about my Slayer form, and she did not like it. She also was mad at me for destroying Last Light, so I'm not doing very well in the whole romance department, I guess. I started the next day by checking out the Masons Guild building. There's a hatch that leads to a basement, where there's a hidden door, where there's some shadows waiting to attack. These guys are actually the Masons that once worked here, and it's kind of sad to see how things ended up for them. I've definitely got more to do out in the lands, but I think now is a good time to make my way to Moonrise Towers, the place we've been hearing about for the past video and a half. When approaching Moonrise, I was stopped by some guards. They mistook me for one of their true souls, and I was able to waltz right in. The first person I talked to was this trader, and I did a little trading. In the next room, we find some goblins getting in trouble. I watched quietly, but then the big man himself, General Ketherick Thorm, asked what we think should be done with them. I just said to kill them, cause duh. But the goblins didn't like that, and one of them took this as an opportunity to test Thorm's gangster.
I'm so sorry, my lord. She's an unbeliever outside my control.
Try again.
No. No!
God damn it, he's so cool. J.K. Simmons is such a good fit for him. I love that guy. They did mention during this discussion that the goblins failed to protect their true soul, and I didn't see Minthara anywhere, so unfortunately, I think she's gone for good. J.K. Thorm and his right-hand lady went away and left me to deal with the goblins. I actually just had them deal with themselves. There was this moment, though, where my Tav was having some sort of flashback about this place, and she looked deranged. This look on her face was genuinely freaking me out. She just looked so fat feral. Gonna have to shake that one off, I guess, because I have a lot to do. I stopped and talked to this lady, Araj, and gave her some of my blood. Surely there's nothing wrong with giving strangers your blood, right? This lady is creepy to say the least, and she really wanted Astarion to bite her. She said she'd give me a cool potion if he did though, so I forced him to do it. Yes, I'm a monster, and no, it was not worth it. I thought she was gonna give me a potion to permanently increase my strength, but this potion just gives me some shit that I already have. Maybe I'm missing something, but yeah, that blows. I went around more and found this cat named Steelclaw taking a nap. I killed it, but you know, hey, at least it was asleep, right? Then in the kitchen area, I met Lincella. She's a true soul who is using her powers to tame these gnolls. She can even make them talk, and it's kinda sad. I really didn't like it, so I severed her connection to the gnolls, and they killed her. Then one of the gnolls stopped and said something weird. Lord back. Man, the Dark Urge is so interesting because what the hell is he talking about? The gnolls were green, which means they are my allies now, which made killing them all the more sad, but hey, I've said it many times now, I've got a job to do. The next place I went to was the prison area. In a room off to the side, I found these two questioners who would be torturing Minthara if she was alive. I love Minthara, so in her honor, I murdered them. In one of the cells, I found Wulbren. When I was trying to talk to him though, I got attacked by a guard. I diced her up, of course, but I am very thankful that she didn't call for backup because I'm not quite ready for all that yet. Anyway, I wanted to help Wulbren, so I threw him a staff, and he used it to break out. Then that little asshole ran away with it. I wanted to chase after him, so I killed the warden, one-shot her by the way, Paladin is disgustingly strong, and opened the cell they just broke out of. They were getting in a boat to leave, and I assumed he would give the staff back before going, but he didn't. He just f***ing left with it. I am never helping anyone ever again. Wulbren, you better get ready, because I'm gonna in Act 3. You hear me? F*** you, Bongle. His last name is Bongle. What a silly name. What were we doing? Right. I went back into the prison and killed some people that were by themselves, looted the warden's office, killed 2 more people, and then hit the sack. Astarion talked to me that night and told me that he feels really dirty and sad about biting that lady, and I felt so terrible for making him do it. He forgave me, but he went on to tell me about how he hadn't owned his body for years because of Cazador, and I told him I wouldn't make him do anything like that ever again. I've never cared much for Astarion, but this conversation nearly made me cry, and now it's gonna suck even worse when I have to kill him eventually. I checked in with some other companions before going to bed, not much to note, but when we woke up, I saw a new debuff. Blood draw sickness? Excuse me? I will not stand for that. I marched right back into Araj's weird little sex den and blasted her to death. I probably shouldn't have, because I know she comes back in Act 3, but f*** her. I had to kill a couple witnesses as well, but it was worth getting revenge for not just me, but also Astarion. And I went back to bed after that to get rid of the debuff. We're almost done in Moonrise for now, but I've got a couple more things to do. I talked to Zarel, Ketheric's lapdog, and realized that she pets that same peeve that Zaris did in Act 1. And I think I figured it out too. It's just when someone that I know is vastly weaker than me acts like they could kill me. Like, her and Zaris both threatened me as if they could even touch me. This pet peeve pops up one more time in this act, and plenty in Act 3, and I'll bring it up then, but man, it annoys me to no end. Anyway, I'm still pretending to be one of their true souls, so she sent me to help a guy named Balthazar in retrieving an artifact for Ketheric. Well, before I do, I climbed up to the roof and killed these 3 winged horrors. They are very easy to miss, so shoutouts to Toy House for making a TikTok about these guys, because I would have never known about them otherwise. Now that that's all settled, let's go, help Balthazar. Waiting outside of what's called the Grand Mausoleum is our old friend Raphael. This encounter is why I've had Astarion with me for this whole act. What Astarion wants from Raphael is for him to tell Astarion what the scars carved onto his back mean. These scars were put there by Cazador, of course, but Astarion has no way of reading them himself. Raphael agrees, but in turn, we have to kill someone inside of the mausoleum, an orphan who Raphael says is extremely dangerous. I agree, Raphael disappears, and we've got a new quest. Before going inside of the mausoleum though, I stopped by the shore to the east and attacked this group of Kuatoa. It's a story as old as time at this point. There's a lot of them, but I've got strong AoE attacks, so blah blah blah, they died. Then right off to the side is an entrance to an ominous crevice. Inside of here there are some blobs and a suit of animated hollow armor waiting to get smited. There's shadows in the suit, and they, along with the blobs, were dealt with. I'm going through this area kind of in reverse, but up at the top of the area is a morgue. In the morgue there are a bunch of zombies, some stronger than than others, but none that strong. I feel like there's something or maybe someone in this room that I'm missing, but I think that that's it in here for now. Let me know if I missed something though, because I can't help but feel like there's more to this specific room. I wanted to be fully rested for the trials ahead of us, so I went to bed. Into the mausoleum, we are almost immediately greeted with a puzzle. You gotta press these buttons in a specific order, and I've done this a million times by now, so obviously I remember the right— son of a bitch. Okay, I got it right the second time, but the puzzle opens up the door to the meat of this area. Just take a little ride down here, and you are officially in the Gauntlet of Shar. This section of the game is hotly contested as either a great area or a terrible area. Personally, I don't love going through here on subsequent playthroughs, but I really liked it my first time, and I think that's what matters most, so I'm not going to complain too much. I should also note that as a follower of Shar, Shadowheart was very excited to be here, and this is a very important location for her questline. Like I said, I've been here many a time, so I breezed through the first part, though I'm realizing now that I might have missed some enemies in this area. I don't actually know. I didn't miss these guys though. As soon as I ran into them, some dark justiciars appeared to put us down. These guys are tame, so long as you break these little portals. If you don't, they'll just keep coming, and it can get overwhelming. Not to worry though, I'm an educated gentleman, so I took them out first. I also killed the reconstructed guys that help you. Down the hall, I murdered some rats. That will be important later, I promise. Then you come across a room where you'll get attacked for a second time, and this one is much tougher. There's more portal things, and the reconstructed guys refuse to attack the portals directly for some reason. Oh good, I'm nasty, I took care of it. Then we meet the man we were sent here to help, Balthazar. This is the other guy that pets that peeve that I mentioned, because as I am about to demonstrate, he is not shit. In fact, it took only one hit to get rid of him. His buddy, just named Flesh, is a bit tougher, but he also usually goes last, so I was able to kill him before he even got a turn. I also want to note here that I know you can fight Balthazar later, I think multiple times later, where he'll have a legion of skeletons with him, but I don't think you get to kill Flesh then, and Flesh is a more unique NPC than the skeletons, so that's why I'm fighting him now. I knocked out after that to prepare for the next day, which was going to be busy. The first thing I did was follow this displacer beast into this room. Waiting for me here is Yurgir, the orphan that Raphael warned me about earlier. Turns out that Yurgir actually made a contract with Raphael to kill all of the justiciars in the gauntlet, and he can't leave until he does. Should be easy for someone like him, and he's been completely successful, but he's still stuck here. Yurgir has all but given up after a century of being trapped, but I told him I would look around for him as he must have missed something. This was all part of my diabolical plan though. Once everyone was cool, I snuck up on Yurgir and hit him with a crushing divine smite. It was so huge, it one-shot him, and then I only had to deal with his lackeys. Is this dirty? Yes. Did I say I don't fuck with liars earlier and then I lied? Yes. But I gotta keep you guys on your toes somehow, right? The Maragon are fairly tough, but I got the jump on them, so I took a couple out right away. The Displacer Beast was the real problem, because it sends in a clone of itself and then stays at a safe distance until you kill the clone. I had some back and forth with the Beast and the Maragon, but ultimately I made it out mostly unharmed. The best part of this whole encounter was when I talked to Astarion afterwards and made him thank me. Poor Astarion, we've been all over the place with him in this video. I went back to do the actual gauntlet part, but found all these rats grouped up. I killed a few more, I promise it will be important in a second, and then they all went running off in a big pack. I followed them into the depths of this place, and near the bottom, the rats jumped me. I was prepared for this, and I brought some void bulbs to clear them out quickly. Once you kill enough of them, this weirdo, Lurthendor, will appear. I guess he disguised himself as a rat, or a bunch of rats, I don't know. And this guy is why Yurgir wasn't able to leave this place. Unfortunately for him, 2 divine smites were more than enough to send him to the Dark Lady. That took a surprising amount of resources, so it's nappy time. Back at camp, Raphael showed up and fulfilled his end of the deal with Astarion. He told Astarion that the scars on his back are part of a ritual that was to be carried out by the ever-so-hated Cazador. That is, until the final piece of the puzzle, Astarion, disappeared. This ritual of vampiric ascension would see Cazador sacrifice all of his vampire spawn, and in return, he would gain unprecedented power. Cazador now needs to retrieve Astarion to complete this ritual, unless of course we take the fight right to him, and have Astarion perform the ritual instead. We'll come back to this in Act 3, but keep this plan in the back of your mind. Back in the Gauntlet of Shar, I think we're ready to actually take on its many challenges. The one I like to start with is called the Faith Leap Trial. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but the path you need to take to cross this section is pretty clear. Like, I don't really get the challenge part here. Am I crazy? Am I doing something wrong? I'll let Shark do the trial herself because this whole Shar thing is all her. She ran across the obvious path, grabbed the Umbral Gem, and then was ready for the next trial. This is the Soft Step Trial. The goal is to get from the entrance to this key to this gate without— oh, wait, really? That was it? Usually this takes me forever. forever. What is going on here? Okay, well, the third trial is the self-same trial. For this one, we have to fight a team of copycats. Now, technically, there's a copycat for each Tav race and for each companion, but I can't really go changing my races, and I'm limited to my amount of companions, so I'm only going to be able to kill the people that are here. Astarion got beat up a bit, but then I did what I do best and divine smited the tiefling. Astarion got his get back on the Astarion clone, Will got a shot in on his clone, Shart one-shot her own copy, and then the Will copycat got killed by a psionic backlash. That sounds like something that would happen to the real Will. That's really it for the trials though, which just leaves us with the Silent Library. It's called that because there's a silence spell casted over the whole room which prevents you from using certain spells. That doesn't really matter to a divine smite spammer like myself though, and I killed the Justiciars in this room pretty easily. I got destroyed by this decoy button though. Holy shit, dude. Took near half our collective HP with that one. I picked up a book called The Night Singer and placed it in this slot to open up a big old door, and inside was a weapon called the Spear of Night. There's also some cool armor, and I gave both of those things to Shadowheart. Now, I know this is very out of nowhere, but there's some people on the dock area of Moonrise Towers that I want to kill before we get any further in the story. I believe they disappear if you don't kill them here, so I just wanted to be safe. Then, with a good night's sleep, I was ready for a really, really big day. With the Umbral gems we'd been collecting this whole time, our party descended into the final stage of the Gauntlet of Shar. Beyond this water is the Shadowfell, the place where Ketheric's asset is being kept and the place where Shadowheart will make the single most important decision of her life. I entered the water and was pulled into the depths of it by Lady Shar. We all awoke in the Shadowfell and climbed down to where the Night Song was waiting for us. The Night Song is something I haven't really talked about yet because I simply just didn't find the right time, but the Night Song is a woman who is a direct descendant of Selûne, the opposing goddess to Shar. To become a Justiciar, you are to slay the Night Song. She will be reborn, presumably forever, to be killed again, or until she is broken free. This is gonna seem completely bass-ackwards, but I think I have to let her live. Otherwise, there's some NPCs inside of Moonrise that I believe don't spawn, and I can always kill her myself later. Shadowheart didn't like this idea though, and I mean, of course she didn't. For literally as long as she can remember, she's wanted to become a Dark Justiciar, and now we're trying to stand in her way. It took some convincing, but she eventually decided not to let Shar control her life any longer, and Shadowheart abandoned her mission. The Night Song is set free, and she makes her way to Moonrise Towers to battle Ketheric, who, because she's been freed, is no longer immortal. That's right, she was Ketheric's artifact this whole time. We'll meet her there soon enough. To catch up with her, we'll have to make our way through yet another gauntlet, this time a gauntlet of enemies in Moonrise. As we approach the towers, Jaheira is waiting outside, basking in Dame Aylin's glory. Oh, that's the Night Song's name, by the way. Jaheira joins us in this assault on Moonrise, and we head inside. The first battle of this gauntlet is against Zarel. That's right, the almighty Zarel that threatened us earlier. I figured this would be a good time to try out my new Slayer form. Astarion almost took out Zarel in the first turn, but it was Will who put her down. The other enemies here were putting up a good fight though, and this Hunger of Hadar spell made my life pretty tough. The Slayer form put some decent work in, but I didn't love it. It just kind of took away from all the class building I'd been doing this whole time. Though to be fair, all I do is Divine Smite stuff anyways. Also, something interesting is that this fight is usually much bigger, but I've already killed a lot of the people who would otherwise be here, so I had inadvertently helped myself. This battle also got me to level 10, which is sick because I feel like we just leveled up, even though it's been like 8 pages of this script since we hit level 9. The next fight in what I'm deeming the Gauntlet of Moonrise is against this horde of undead in the prison area. These are the folks that I'm pretty sure don't show up if you kill Aelin in the Shadowfell, and I'd rather be safe than sorry. These guys are very run-of-the-mill, but, and I'm pretty sure I've said this like 30 times now, there's a lot of them, and that can be dangerous. Thankfully, Astarion and I had very successful turns, and they spent their first turn making little bone babies. Will and Shart did well on their turns too, but then the Necromites started fighting back. They couldn't keep up with the rate I was killing them at though, and the Necromancers kept trying to summon more. We traded some more blows, I slipped on some ice, and eventually we took care of them all. We went back upstairs, then upstairs some more, and I had Astarion solo this group of enemies. It was pretty cool, honestly. I was very proud of him. That just leaves us with the battle with Ketheric on the roof left, but before I do that, I'm leaving Moonrise so that I can go to bed and be at full strength. My party rose, ready for battle, and we climbed our way up to the roof. Aelin showed up, and we got to work. Are you guys tired of me one-shotting people that should be way stronger than me yet? Yeah, me too. I think I'm gonna have to change the difficulty for Act 3. Before Ketheric can retreat, he summons a big tentacle that lays Aelin out. She and Ketheric disappear, and I'm left with some more undead to make dead. I made pretty short work of them all, and didn't have to spend too many resources to do so. To follow Ketheric, we're gonna have to jump into this giant fleshlight. And you know me, reckless as can be, I jumped right in. This place is a mind flayer colony, and as soon as we entered, Will reminded me that we have to set a devil free here. I killed some incel devourers and then put Chop out of his misery. I killed some more little guys and then found the best brain boy, Us. You remember Us? We freed him from a guy's head on the Nautiloid. It was like the first thing we did. Well, I feel like we all know where this is going. Like Scratch, I made Us's death quick. The next room is a big battle, one full of more undead, and this time they're joined by some winged horrors. I'd be absolutely lying if I said it was quick or easy, but it was doable. Down the way, there's this cool puzzle where you gotta build a brain by connecting neurons. When you do, it opens a door that has a really cool sword and a brain in a jar called the Waking Mind. Take this brain to a contraption, pop it in, and you can talk to the person that the brain once was, or I guess still is. This brain belonged to a Gith Zerai, I don't know what that is, I failed my history check, and she will teach you one of her techniques in return for you killing her with your tadpole. She's been alive in that thing for ages now, so I understand wanting a way out, and I've got to kill everyone anyways, so I helped her out. There are some other brains that you can talk to, but I don't think you can kill any of those ones, so we're not going to waste our time. Further into the colony, there are some more intellect devourers, and then you find a bunch of people and mind flayers in pods. I saved some time here by just hitting the kill switch and taking out everyone in there, but after clearing them out, I attacked a small group of cultists. They're really weak, so they never even got a turn, but the Dirge does recognize one of them as the doctor who helped piece them together after their incident. We'll have to figure that all out later, but for now, we've got more killing to do. I got a bunch more brain guys, but after them, I think I was ready to face Ketheric for the final time. I used the healing pod, descended the floating platform, but before entering the fight, Will pleaded with me to return to the colony to find Zariel's asset, the one that Will was tasked with saving. I couldn't help him though. Will's fate was sealed. Before seeing what happens to Will, we first see the chosen of the dead three all bickering with each other. Ketheric, Gortash, and Orin, Merkel, Bane, and Ball. The three show their power that they hold with these nether stones, and it's revealed that they have enslaved an Elder Brain, an incredibly powerful being, and what people have been referring to as the Absolute. Gortash and Orin flee for now, and Ketheric continues to wait for us. Then though, we see the asset that Will was meant to rescue. It was Mazora the whole time. That's why she looked so weird when we saw her earlier. Will's soul is dragged into Avernus, and I'm forced to confront the atrocity that we've just committed. Will might have been cringe, he might have been easily misled, but other than Karlach, he is by far the kindest and most well-meaning soul among the companions. There's not much good left in this world now. I can't let thoughts of Will being tortured for eternity flood my mind, because I've got to face Merkel's chosen, General Ketheric Thorn. Ketheric tells us why he serves Merkel, and that's because Merkel revived his daughter, and that daughter is Isabel. She's been revived again, and she's now my enemy. All this to say, it's battle time. I tried to reach Aelin on my first turn, but couldn't quite get there, so I settled for bombing the Intellect Devourers. I threw another one at Isabel because I just realized I should probably kill her before freeing Aelin, otherwise she's gonna be pissed when I do. They're lesbian lovers, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that. Also, this fight is gonna be tough because I'm down a man, and Ketheric has some decent backup. On Astarian's second turn, he finished off Isabel, and then I freed Aelin so she could help me. These Necromites put the hurt on Shar, and then Ketheric put the hurt on me. Divine Smite feels much better to give than it does to receive. I gave him one right back though, and that was enough to send him into his second phase. It's like Elden Ring in this bitch. Out from the depths that Ketheric plummeted into came the Lord of Bones himself, Merkel. That's right, this fight is far from over. I love Astarian's reaction though, cause same.
Oh dear.
Merkel is a strong son of a gun, so I tried attacking him first. You can believe he attacked right back though and sent me flying. Missing a party member, I turned into my Slayer form to bolster my health in case things got ugly. I know I just said I don't like it a minute ago, but I'm trying to kill a god here. Cut me some slack. Astarian and Shart finished off some stragglers, but Merkel retaliated and it wasn't looking good for them. Aelin finally decided to do something and she landed some hits on Merkel. I tried to focus my attacks completely on him so that this fight would be over sooner, but he's a strong son of a bitch, so it wasn't easy. Aelin landed a hit that had Merkel knocking on his own door until he ate a Necromite and gained all that health back. A bunch more Necromites appeared and I was starting to get nervous. I dropped the Slayer form because it wasn't really helping, and that worked out well because I hit a big Divine Smite. Then it was actually Shadowheart who finished him off with a Guiding Bolt. Merkel withered away and Ketheric went along with him. Aelin made sure that he was dead though.
Together, we have crushed him, brain and body.
Yeah, I think you're good, man. Jesus. I looted Ketherick, and then, hey, Dump, what the f are you here? Where'd your cool outfit go? Whatever, man, I'm out of this awful place. On the surface, I tried to kill Aelin because I don't think I really need her anymore, but she can't die. Guys, did you know she can't die? Because I didn't know she can't die. Okay, well, now I need help with two things from you guys. How do I kill Thaniel, and how do I kill Aelin? I rewound a bit, though, and Aelin had a little heart to Shadow Heart and clarified her one single memory. Remember when she told us about the wolf that the Shar worshippers saved her from? Well, it turns out that wasn't a wolf at all. It was actually her father, and that memory had been tainted by Shar. Shadowheart and her parents were originally Saloonites, and she and her parents were kidnapped by the Sharans. That means basically her whole life has been a lie, and she's gonna have to figure out what she wants to do next. While in camp, I picked lae'zel up, and we all caught some well-deserved Z's. Shadowheart is having a bit of an identity crisis, but she's sure of one thing. She wants to save her parents. Now, just because I killed Ketherick doesn't mean I'm done with Act 2 yet. I've still got 2 battles left to fight. Before I do more fighting though, I talked to Jaheira and she agreed to join me on my journey to Baldur's Gate. I also threw on Ketherick's armor because I feel like it fits me a little better than the other armor did, and it's pretty damn good. With that done, let's get these fights out of the way. First, there's a small army waiting outside of the morgue I visited earlier. They weren't anything too crazy, but they did a fair bit of damage. I cleared them out though, and we just have one fight left. Right on the path out of Act 2, there's a group of Githyanki warriors laying in wait. If it wasn't for an item that Voss gave me in Act 1 to detect these guys, they might have had a big advantage on me, but thanks to him, I knew they were coming and I got to strike first. lae'zel almost soloed their leader, and then with the main threat out of the way, the stragglers were fighting a losing battle, and lose they did. With these guys dead, I had really taken down all of Act 2. As we left the shadow-cursed lands, the curse began to lift. This is because I saved Thaniel, and usually this would be a good feeling, but this time it just felt like the game was taunting me. The lands had been cleansed, but for what? For who? You know the saying, if a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound? Well, if the curse is lifted and there's no one around to feel it, was it really lifted? I kinda just put a new curse on this place. Regardless, our gang has made it just outside the city. We are all mere moments away from being at Baldur's Gate and being in Act 3. Thank you guys for watching. If you watched both Act 1 and 2, you are a true freak, but I greatly appreciate you. Act 3 is going to take quite some time, so make sure you're subscribed to see when it's uploaded. And if you have any advice on how to deal with people like Thaniel, Aelin, Withers, or any other people that I should look out for in Act 3, please let me know. Once again, thank you for being here, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. GG's, everybody. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. The gang and I have officially arrived in the final act of Baldur's Gate 3. You might think that this means that we are at the end of our journey, but to be totally honest, it's kinda just starting. It's cliche, I know, but it is hard to put into words just how long, complicated, and action-packed this section of the game is. At the start of Act 2, I went and redid Act 1 because I had missed a lot, and I wanted some things to go differently. Thankfully, I didn't really miss a whole lot in Act 2, and I don't have to go through it all again. That means I don't have to spend much more time introing and we can get started. We've got a lot to do, but I'm gonna try not to rush things. I hope you're all strapped in because we are going on one hell of a ride. The first thing I did was check in with everyone in the camp. There were only 2 things of note. First of all, Astarion is hell-bent on taking down Cazador and completing the vampiric ascension ritual on himself. The second thing is kind of a huge problem. Gale is gone. Gone for good. And he leaves behind a letter that explains himself. Because we killed Elminster in Act 1.5, Gale didn't receive his mission to destroy the Absolute, he didn't receive the ability to control the orb's detonation, and more importantly, he didn't receive the temporary pause on the orb's thirst for magic that would be given to him otherwise. Gale doesn't want to endanger his friends, so he packs up and leaves forever. That means we can't kill him, but it also means that he absolutely, most certainly, is going to die. I accidentally foreshadowed this way back in Act 1, but unfortunately, this is just kind of an L we have to hold. We didn't get much time to mourn our friend Gale though, because when we went to sleep that night, the voice of the Absolute spoke to us. A portal opened up from the artifact and some Gith warriors attacked. Before doing any fighting, I cranked the difficulty way up. Act 1 and Act 2 weren't that hard, but by changing this one setting, I made our enemies much tougher and us much weaker. While fighting the Githyanki, our guardian, Dump, called out to us in our mind and asked us to enter the portal to help him. I had to stay outside until the last possible turn, because more Gith would have come out every turn and I didn't want to miss any. When we did eventually enter the prism though, we found more Githyanki attacking the area that Dump has been guarding this whole time, and finally breaking through his defenses. defenses. On our way to help him, there were some intellect devourers attacking the Gith. Weird, right? Well, even weirder, after killing the Gith and heading deeper into the prism, we find this mind flayer under attack. This is the Emperor. He is the true identity of Dump. He just took that other form to not alarm us. I asked him to prove himself, and he told us about how we saved the Night Song and how we opted not to attack Dump when Vlaakith had ordered us to. These are things that only someone who was there for our whole journey would know, so I gave him the benefit of the doubt. The gang and I helped the Emperor fend off the Gith warriors, and in return, he gave us some answers. He told us his whole story, about how he was an adventurer, and how when he traveled to Moonrise Towers, he was infected and turned into a mind flayer. He was a part of the Elder Brain's empire, but he broke free of its grasp and he lived in Baldur's Gate where he ate criminals. Eventually, Gortash discovered the Emperor's true identity and returned him to the Elder Brain, aka the Absolute. He was a thrall once again until he found the Astral Prism and his free will returned to him. That free will was due to this Gith Yankee, Orpheus, and his psychic powers, for lack of a better term. These powers are why we haven't turned into a mind flayer yet. He's also why the Gith Yankee are so desperate to retrieve the artifact. That's pretty much all we need to know for now, but at the end of this discussion, the Emperor encouraged me to embrace the change into a mind flayer, as it would give me some pretty nice powers. I'm not interested though, and with a nat 20 to resist the change, I was done here for now. I talked to lae'zel before bed, and she is determined to free Orpheus. We'll worry about that later though, but for now, it's bedtime. In the morning, Shart showed us her new hairdo, and honestly, I think it looks way better than the black hair. lae'zel always makes me laugh with this. She knows that something changed with Shadowheart, but she can't quite place her finger on it. It's finally time to leave camp and enter the town of Rivington. There's two and a half town-ish areas before we reach the big city. At the entrance of the town stands Yenna and her cat Grub. Yenna's mom has passed, though she doesn't really know it, so I gave her some coin to help her out. It's the least I can do to make up for what's gonna happen later. I also should mention these guys before I forget. These are refugees or citizens. They aren't killable, interactable. They're basically just specters that make the game feel more populated, so they're not real people, just ignore them. Just a few steps from Yenna are these folks who are having an argument. Basically, these people have taken up shelter in this man, Arthur's home, and he wants them out. Technically, yeah, they should get kicked out, but eat the rich and all that, so I defended the hobos and Arthur's mercenaries attacked. Thankfully, even on this new difficulty, these people aren't that scary, and I took them out. Arthur pissed off, and the squatters got to keep squatting. A little further down the road, I found this guy, Ferg Droger. When we got here, Shart warned us to be on the lookout for Sharans who might be spying on her, and Ferg is one of them. I'm sure it's a shock, but I killed him too. I also killed these three because they are out of the way and I didn't want to forget. Remember in Act 1 when we met Gandrel, the guy who was hunting Astarion? Well, these are his people. We can do a quest for them, but if we do that, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe that one or two of them will disappear when we encounter them next. So to be safe, I just killed them all. They're all grouped up pretty nicely, so I was able to hit several of them at once, which made my life much easier. They would have been tough if I hadn't gotten the jump on them like that, but as they were, I came out on top pretty handedly. Oh, and speaking of Astarion, I just remembered to drink that potion I got from Mirage in Act 2, and now I've got 21 strength, which is pretty high considering the highest you can naturally get to without other buffs is 20. I'm sort of just following my nose at this point, and my nostrils picked up on something in this abandoned windmill. In the basement was a mind flayer. The Emperor notes that it's a newborn, and that I should kill it and take its power. F it, I murdered it in cold blood. My nose took us back outside where I found Tonsure Bellagio. He said something really funny before I crushed him.
But the views are worth it.
The views are worth it. Huh, I couldn't have said it better myself. I rolled up to the kennels next, and oh boy, this is the moment I've been waiting for. Angry Marhaya is the most miserable, cruel, and freakish woman in this entire game. She abuses dogs, and she abuses this guy. If anyone deserves the wrath of the Dark Urge, it's her. And that's exactly what she got. I did just realize, though, that I need to kill little homie and the dogs too, which put a damper on my bloodthirst. I went inside the shop after and killed a few people that were there. I'm not going around killing everyone yet, but I'm just trying to get some of the smaller stuff out of the way. Right by the kennels is a well. The well led me to an underground passage littered with the bodies of refugees. Clearly there was some murder going on here, and if it's not me, it's not right. At the end of the passage there was a guy on his deathbed, a dying Stone Lord thug. We'll talk about the Stone Lord way later, but this guy asks me to put him out of his misery. misery. I did not oblige him though, at least not the way he wanted. I twisted the knife around to torture him, but not because I'm crazy, but because he isn't who he claims to be. This is Orin, the chosen of Bal and the owner of one of the 3 netherstones I need. She's also our rival, and she'll be popping up a lot in this act. She disappeared and I traveled further into this area. That was until I hit a trap that messed up my team. Surely I wouldn't hit another. Yeah, I would. That, I'm going to bed. In camp, that girl and her cat that we met earlier were waiting for us. Like I said, her mom is gone and now she's got nowhere to go. Yenna is a good kid, but as I've said like a dozen times up to now, I've got a job to do and even she needs to go. To do that, I need her to stay here, and I need to lose a companion. I have one too many, and to be able to kill Yenna in the future, one of them has to die. It's too much to explain without spoiling, but the only option right now is for me to kill Jaheira. I like Jaheira and I wish that I could keep her around, but for now at least, she's going to be my sacrifice. I went to bed after that and my good buddy Scleratus paid me a visit. Well, I guess I paid him a visit. He spoke to me in my dream and he gave me a new mission. Kill Orin and take her place as Bal's chosen. I shot awake and memories came flooding back to me. I was a devotee of Bal. No, a spawn of Bal. And it is my right to trump Orin and become a weapon of destruction in Bal's name. Big night for me. The next morning, I reached the end of the path I had been following. Here, there are 2 groups clashing. Members of a group called the Guild, and more of the Stone Lord's goons. I fought alongside the members of the Guild, and together we brought down the Stone Lord's gang. Then I made sure to attack the Guild people before they disappeared. It was a lot of fighting, but by the end of it, I had gotten a cool new weapon called the Corpse Grinder. Feels like a fitting weapon for someone on my mission, right? I did some looting after all the fighting, and then made my way back to Rivington. There's a fun little spot here called the Circus of the Last Days. To get in, you have to pass the sniff check from this thing. I most certainly did not pass the test because I smelled like, quote, blood. Tasty blood. So delicious. Well, I guess that makes sense considering I am caked in blood. I still managed to riz my way in though, and just walking into this place brought me to level 11, which means I've just got one more level to go after this. Back to the circus, when talking to Zara the Mummy, I realized that the trading menu looks a little different. It just so happens that in between working on Act 2 and 3, there was a big update. I believe patch number 6. No biggie though, just thought I'd mention it. What is a biggie is this guy Akabi. You see, if you pickpocket him, steal his ring, and then play his game, you'll make him very angry. He would usually rig the wheel using that ring, and without it, he can't cheat. Your reward for winning? A trip to this place. A jungle with dinosaurs. This game's so silly. Why on earth are there dinosaurs? I didn't get to bring my friends with me, but that's okay because I am an absolute powerhouse, and I took most of them on one by one anyways, so I made it out alive. I also grabbed this bad boy on my way out, which I'll never use, but it's a really cool weapon. I'm gonna have to wait to get my revenge on this guy because I can't just go taking off heads quite yet. Instead, I'm putting my head on a statue. This guy and his beautiful wife will make you a statue for holy 5k? Well, hey, money isn't everything, right? We'll come back to the statue thing later. I got a little sidetracked from here. I found Corilla in a bush. I dug up this dead guy and then had a conversation with him, and he told me that he was killed by a dwarf in red clothes. Sweet, I guess I'll keep an eye out for someone like that. I put him back in the casket and walked back into the circus. This guy is the best part of the circus. Dribbles the clown. Dribbles asks for a volunteer, and if I have a Starian with me, I always send him up there because his reaction is so great.
Of course! What fun! I'm going to fucking kill you.
Unfortunately though, Dribbles is a doppelganger, and he attacks whoever you send onto the stage, so sorry buddy. This battle is pretty tough, and once again we're up against one of those pesky displacer beasts. As per usual though, I made my way through it eventually. That fight took a lot out of my team, so I called it a night. We can't seem to get a good night's sleep though, because this time we were confronted by Vlaakith. Vlaakith basically just came here to beg us for help. She wants us to kill Orpheus, and she promises lae'zel that if we do, then Vlaakith will ascend her. lae'zel, though, the beautiful, strong woman she is, told her goddess to kick rocks. Vlaakith didn't like that very much, but there wasn't much she could do about it. I spoke to lae'zel afterwards, and she's pretty set on siding with Orpheus. A quick aside here, I don't really love how quickly both lae'zel and Shadowheart pull full 180s on their beliefs, and then fully commit to the other side. Like, Shadowheart didn't have to devote herself to Selûne that quick. Like, damn girl, take a break. Same with lae'zel. She goes from I am Vlaakith's blade to Orpheus's will above all. I don't know, it's not a big deal, and I'm sure they just want, or maybe need, something to believe in. Before actually knocking out, my statue's here. It looks great. Surely there won't be bodies scattered by its feet by the end of the video, right guys? I woke up and wrapped up our circus fun. This is Zethino, and she's got a fun game you can play. She'll take you and a companion and test your love for each other. Of course, I tested my bond with lae'zel, and I've gotta say, I did fantastic. It's a good way to gain some approval with your partner, and oh, it's Oren. Well, I still had fun. Okay, well, Oren aside, I've still got to clear this place out. I went on a bit of a rampage and killed all of the carnies here. I made sure I was extra careful and didn't let the people at the entrance get away either. Sweet, back to bed. In the morning, we stopped by the Rivington General, this guy, and then I traded with, I'm not even gonna try and say her name. But you know what? There isn't a whole lot more to do here. Like, I think I can start killing some people and it won't interfere with anything. Specifically, all of the people in and around this refugee camp. I'm not gonna show it all because this video is going to be f***ed up long already, but on screen is the name of all the people I killed in this stretch. Another night of sleep got interrupted, this time by our guardian, or I guess I should just call him the Emperor. He's feeling a bit down because the day before we learned that same dwarf in red clothes that I mentioned earlier has recently killed Duke Stelmane, someone that the Emperor was very fond of. I may be a murder monster death god, but I do like the Emperor and I tried to make him feel better. I wrapped up that list of names I showed before the next morning, but after that I checked out the open hand temple. In the basement area of this place, we can take care of that sentient amulet we grabbed back in Act 1. There's a guy's soul in the amulet and he's been cursed with eternal laughter. He wanted us to take him here to find his granddaughter so that he could pass it off to her. Yeah, he's a real sweetheart, I know. She is dead though, and so he just gets in her dead body, and then he expects us to take the curse for him? I don't know, man, this guy is fucking insane. He attacked me with some other dead folks, but hey, they're already dead, so this was pretty easy. Further into the basement, there's a couple doppelgangers surrounded by corpses. Just like against the monster hunters earlier, I got the jump on them and they got rocked. I feel good about the amount of stuff we've done in Rivington for now, so let's make our way to the next town, Worm's Crossing, and cause some trouble there. To get there, we have to go through these flaming fist guards. You definitely don't have to kill them, but what if I just did? I didn't want any innocents to get away, so I just started by killing them. Then the fist attacked. Not only are there extra fist here because I've been killing people, so they reinforced their security, but there's also a steel watcher to deal with. I've mentioned it a few times now, but with this new difficulty, holy shit. I actually thought this fight was a wrap for me because I was getting whooped. This is good for me though. I've got to learn how to actually fight. That being said, this battle between myself and the Flaming Fist was probably the most brutal, difficult fight we've been through throughout this entire Baldur's Gate journey. I prevailed though, as I always do, and my team and I rode back to camp with some reflecting to do. First thing I did the next day was dye some new camp clothes that I got. Before getting into Worm's Crossing, I stopped and talked to Lens the journalist. She wanted to know about my experience with the fist at the gate, and I don't think she knows that I killed everybody. Don't worry, I informed her. Now, to be clear, I'm not done with Rivington yet. We'll be back later, but let's just check this place out. Well, after I kill these guards on the other side of the checkpoint. Thankfully, after killing them, the other fist in this city left me alone. One of the places right at the entrance of this town is Sharess's Caress. It's a bar slash brothel slash all-around good times place. Waiting for us here are a few old friends, Voss and Raphael. Voss is begging with Raphael to help him free Orpheus. He doesn't have much luck though, and he passes his mission on to us. Talk to Devilman and find a way to free Orpheus. Well, it just so happens that Raphael has a proposal for us. Though, dear lord, does he talk a lot.
I'm glad you came. I'd ask you to be patient, but you've been patient enough. I'll admit, you've impressed me. Yes. I have the solution to your problem. There is an exchange to be made. I want the crown that dominates the Elder Brain. I have craved it ever since the arch-wizard Carsus created it. I was there the day it all fell apart. The screams, oh, the screams. The hells require order, unity, efficiency, control. When you destroy the brain, and you will because you must, you give the crown to me. In exchange, I give you the hammer now.
Okay, well, I'm pretty sure the heat death of the universe happened, we got another big bang, and we're back to where we left off, but Raphael offers us the Orphic Hammer so that we can free Orpheus. That's all he had to say. I can't accept his offer quite yet. I turned him down, I told Voss that I turned him down, and Voss said he'd wait in Baldur's Gate for me to come to my senses. Had I accepted Raphael's offer right away, then we wouldn't see Voss again until the very end of the game, so that's why I did that. With Voss on his way to the city though, I went back to Pop Pop and got the Orphic Hammer. To get it, I signed a contract that said I would give Raphael the crown of Karsus when the Elder Brain was dealt with. To be totally honest, I didn't know if this was necessary or not, but I figured I'd just go through with it and deal with the consequences later. For now though, I went on a little shopping spree. I love this interaction in Karm's Garm where this guy's like, hey, do you think I should be an adventurer? And you can just all over him. I usually go with the nice options in my playthroughs, but this one's just too good to pass on. One shop I ended up at was Danthalon's Dancing Axe. Besides having some good stuff to trade, he also is someone that Chihiro wanted me to meet with. There are some Harpers having a secret meeting here, and after some convincing, he let me in on it. Down under the shop, the Harpers were waiting, except they aren't really Harpers. I read this guy's mind, and he was begging for me to attack the others because they're all secretly doppelgangers. I attacked them like he asked me to, which surprised them and made this a pretty easy fight. Then I killed him too, so, you know. I think I've talked to all the important people here, and while I'm far from done with this place, it's time to move on. To get into the Worm's Rock Fortress, the last stop before the city of Baldur's Gate, I need to find an invitation to Gortash's coronation. There's one in this room in Sharess's Caress, but there's also some ladies about to get down and dirty. That is, until one of them transforms into a Mind Flayer. Just one of these bad boys isn't gonna keep me down, but after I killed it, the other lady here was sad that she wouldn't get to bang it. Yeah, I'm gonna do everyone a favor here. I grabbed the invitation, spoke to the guards blocking off the fortress, and gained entrance without shedding blood. Well, not their blood, I guess. This little section of the game is one of the reasons why I almost didn't go through with doing this challenge. I have been thinking about it non-stop for months, and my heart is racing just talking about it. Let me explain why. You see, inside the fortress, Gortash is being crowned as the new Grand Duke of Baldur's Gate. In this room with him are a metric ton of innocent people. Problem is, and why I've been so anxious about this, is if I attack Gortash, or even just kill a single one of the innocents, all of the other ones in the room will run away and I will miss out on them forever. That's right, almost every person in this room only appears during this one scene, and they are all unique NPCs, meaning I can't let anyone get away. So, in short, I have to kill all of them in one go. Putting it in turn-based mode doesn't even help, because once I attack, we'll roll initiative, and people that don't want to fight will just run away forever. You see my dilemma, right? Now, let's all take a quick ride down memory lane back to Act 1. This rune powder barrel is something I've been holding on to ever since then. My secret weapon, my ace in the hole, whatever you want to call it, it's my only chance at this. The explosion that this thing makes is undeniably huge, but it's not guaranteed to kill everyone by itself, and I also will be faced with not just Gortash's guards, but also around 10 or so steel watchers. To make this work, I used a combination of the rune powder barrel, smoke powder barrels, regular oil barrels, and smoke powder bombs. I finally got a good go in, but then my team ended up getting absolutely slaughtered by the steel watchers. To remedy that problem, I respec'd Shart to be a sorcerer so that she would gain access to a spell, Chain Lightning, a very powerful counter to those ever so irritating steel watchers. With my evil plan in place, it still took several tries, but by the end of it, I had killed all of the innocent lords and ladies, the Flaming Fist and Gortash's guards, the Steel Watchers, Duke Ravengard, and even Lord Gortash himself. I think this whole process alone took about 4 hours, and I felt like the weight of the world was off my shoulders when it was over. And with so much carnage, my team reached level 12, meaning we are about as strong as we can possibly be now. I grabbed the Netherstone from Gortash, and when I did, the Elder Brain started attacking our mines. The Emperor kept it at bay, but we've got to get Orin's Netherstone before the brain breaks free. I did some looting, and feeling unshackled from this insane task, we went back to camp. I didn't quite get the chance to sleep yet, because in camp, Yenna had made dinner for me. I like Yenna. She's a good kid. I took a bite, and she revealed her secret ingredient. Her cat. Son of a I should have known it was her. I'm getting tired of this freak, but as brutal and vicious as this moment is, it's actually good for me. That means she has kidnapped Yenna and things are going according to plan. That's why I killed Jaheira earlier, because had Jaheira still been alive, Orin would have taken her instead and we would have never gotten the chance to kill Yenna. Orin is here to challenge us to a duel, a battle to become Baal's chosen. We'll get to that much later, but keep that in the back of your heads for now. When we returned to Worm's Rock, I went downstairs and was confronted by the personal guards of the lords and ladies I had killed the day before, as well as some more Steel Watchers and Flaming Fist. Honestly, I totally forgot they were gonna be here. The fight was an absolute slobber knocker, and by the end of it, I was the only one still on my feet. Another night of sleep fixed us right up, only to be met with even more people in the fortress. We fought them, went to sleep, and then in the morning, guess what? Yep, more people to fight. After dealing with them, I took the gang up to the roof area to see if there were any people near where you would normally fight Gortash. There were some more Steel Watchers, and there were also some Black Gauntlet jerks who I was worried would have disappeared. They didn't though, and after another tough battle, we went to bed one more time. We are not done with this place yet, because we still have the whole basement area to do. I fought with the guards in the prison area, and compared to the stuff we've been through in this video alone, I didn't let them give me too much trouble. I talked to Otto Ott, he was rude, so I bashed his brains in, and then I talked to Counselor Floric. I've never been a big fan of hers personally. She just, I don't know, she's not very interesting, I guess. Interesting or not though, I killed her too. Surely we're done here now, right? Well, I feel like if I have to ask that, then you know the answer. Answer. Now, if you don't get it, you will in a minute. Electrify these dragon-shaped torches, and a secret passage will open up. This leads you to the Worm Way. At the entrance, there's a statue of Baldurin. Baldur for short, the namesake of Baldur's Gate. The statue yaps for a while and asks if you are worthy. This is so funny, because like, all you have to do is just say yes, and he takes your word for it. Inside of here, there are some trials for you to complete. I have no particular preference as far as the order I do them in go, but I started this time in the Chamber of Courage. This one is pretty tough because you are swarmed by elementals and you have to survive several waves of them. We're at a late point in the game where every single fight has us knocking on death's door, but like all the fights up until now, we survived. This trial being passed, a statue of Baldur in the main area began to glow, and we were clearly doing something right. That ends now though, because for the next chamber, the Chamber of Strategy, we have to sabotage ourselves. This challenge sees you playing a very similar game to chess. I'm okay at chess, but when you fail too many times, a bunch of undead will appear. These guys are a little tougher than your average skeleton folk, but this room isn't the full extent of them. There's a bunch more of them in the main area, and man, Shart was not messing around. She nearly soloed them all, but this is still not the end. In another room, the Chamber of Justice, there's even more of them waiting for us. After we took care of the ones here though, I came to a worrying realization. There's a unique NPC in the Chamber of Justice by the name of the Judge. The Judge, as you can see, is immune to all types of damage, whether it's physical damage or any kind of magic damage. So then that of course begs the question, what do? Well, after some trial and error, I managed to kill them? I used the spell Polymorph on him, and the statue told me that the Judge was banished, so I think that's the best we're gonna get. With the Judge dead, I just had another room full of undead, these flying books, and these 3 ghost-ish people. There's a puzzle here, but at this point I think we're way past solving puzzles. I think that's it for fighting in this place. Well, except for the worm of the Worm Way, but let's sleep before we face him. Inside of the Dragon's Sanctum, there is another statue of Baldur. He congratulates you for being found worthy, which, as lae'zel notes, is funny because we really didn't do anything that we were supposed to. The door still opens though, and we are met with the rotten remains of a dragon. As we approach it though, it injects its spirit right into my body and begins to speak through us. I'm getting tired of things hopping into my brain. He asks why we've come here, but when I responded, he clarifies that he's not talking to us. He's talking to the one inside of the astral prism, the Emperor, or as Answer calls him, Baldurin. That's right. The Emperor, our guardian, has been Baldur this entire time. He was the adventurer who was turned into a mind flayer, and apparently he's also the one who killed Answer. The story goes that Answer and Baldurin were friends, and when Baldur had been taken and turned into an illithid, Answer wanted to help him by giving his friend a merciful death. Baldurin didn't want to die though. He actually was pleased with his new powers and potential, and so when Answer wouldn't take no for, well, an answer, Baldur had no other choice but to slay his friend to save himself. And now it's up to us to finish the remaining spirit that lives within Answer's corpse. I've avoided doing full fight breakdowns because this video is going to be really long, but this one is too good to pass on. I started off with Astarion and used Dazzling Ray to blind Answer. He put one more shot into the dragon before his turn was over. Oh yeah, Answer isn't alone by the way. He's got got 2 water myrmidons with him, and they can make this fight much more complicated if they're not dealt with quickly. Thankfully, one of them made the mistake of getting really close, and with some divine smites, I got rid of it. Then I made a huge IQ play and had lae'zel knock this one off a cliff, which meant I now only had to fight the big guy. I had Shark cast Cloud of Daggers in case he was planning on standing still, and then threw a fireball on top of that. Answer responded with a lightning breath that hurt Astarion and Shadowheart real bad. He flew a little ways away, and even though blinding him didn't seem to do much last time, I had Astarion try and do it again. He failed, and so on my turn, I got up close and landed some big shots. Shark pelted him with magic missiles because they can't miss, and then hit a shatter that was less than impressive. lae'zel jumped over to the dragon and landed her Soulbreaker attack. She also hit a critical on her distracting strike. Then Answer started charging up an attack that Astarion warned that we should find cover against. I still got some shots in and even healed a bit while trying to pull my team back, but on Answer's turn, I realized that I didn't run nearly far enough away. He fired off his Stormheart Nova, and just watch our health bars. Yeah. These lightning glyphs also appeared that I needed to steer clear from. I spent my next turn healing, but Astarion, with an arrow of dragon slaying, dealt 61 damage to Answer, something that just might keep me in the fight. He didn't have much health left, so I solely focused on attacking. Shart landed some hits, and lae'zel got him down to 2 health, so I thought it was all over, but the big man proved me wrong once again, because in one single attack, he dropped every member of my party except for me. I was our last hope, and while surrounded by lightning glyphs, I went in for the kill. After slaying the dragon, the Emperor came out and spoke to us. He admitted to being Baldur and explained that the first time he escaped the Elder Brain's influence was only because of his good friend Answer. The Emperor finished telling the story I told earlier, but all in all, this encounter isn't a happy one, and nobody is glad that Answer had to be killed. On the body of the dragon is Baldurin's Giant Slayer, the sword that I'll be using for the remainder of this video. It hits like 10 trucks stacked on top of each other. I picked up my friends, and before I left, I also grabbed the Helm of Baldur, something that I will also be using for the rest of this video, because it can get hit by 10 trucks stacked on top of each other. Sorry, I just want to say that again. Gang and I got some rest because in the morning we are headed to the big city. It's pretty insane that we are 14 pages into this script and are just now setting foot into Baldur's Gate, but yeah, this is it. No cutscene or anything, just in the city. Well, there's a cutscene for the Elder Brain losing its mind. With 2 nether stones in my possession, the grasp on the Elder Brain is slipping and it's trying hard to break free. Back to the city though, my first stop is at the Elf Song Tavern. Holy pee and poop, dude. There's like 100 people in this place alone. This is gonna be rough. I don't have to worry about it for now though. What I'm here for is a room in the tavern. It's kind of embarrassing to say, but I didn't even know this was possible on my first couple playthroughs because I guess I just never talked to the right person here before. But boom, here we are with our very own room. No more sleeping outside in the dirt. My companions didn't really seem to notice, but hey, I was excited. The next thing I needed to do was to take care of some unfinished business. We're skipping pretty deep into the city to visit Sorceress Sundries. I did a little trading, collected some taxes that were not for me, and then asked about the Night Song. You guys remember the Night Song? Or I guess I should call her Dame Aelin. Well, Lae'zel, the wizard that owns this place, wants to get his hands on her. I don't like this guy at all. He's just an all-around shithead, but he does offer me a solution to my Aelin problem. In Act 2, I realized I couldn't kill her myself, so I'm gonna need his help to rid myself of her for good. I talked to Aelin and told her that Lae'zel is looking for her. She's so sick though, dude. I told her about him and she's just like, alright, bet, let's go this guy up. She also just started roasting him when she got to his tower. I forgot how cool she is. Cool or not though, I unfortunately have to turn on her for the sake of this challenge, and on the side of Lae'zel, our battle began. I didn't realize she was gonna have help though, and let me tell you, this fight was fucking brutal. To even have a chance at killing Aelin, I first had to handle her angel friends, but before I even got a turn, Shart was down and Astarion and I were hurt. They're also resistant to radiant damage, which is a big bummer because we all know at this point, I just love spamming Divine Smite. Astarion tried to attack and just got dropped for it. I won't waste your time with the whole rest of the fight, but just know that we barely got through it all and that Lae'zel was no help whatsoever. It was me though that ended up finishing off Aelin, and though it was a sad kill, it was a weight off my shoulders. I wasn't done fighting yet though, not even close. I fixed my team up and then dropped the hammer on Wizard Boy. I killed all of his friends as well, and life from Ramazith's tower has officially been extinguished. Well, I also had to kill all the mage hands patrolling outside, but you know. now. After all the fighting, I went into the vaults and did some looting there. Not a whole lot to note really, but I got some decent, or at least expensive stuff. Then we all went to bed as we so often do, and once again I was startled awake. It was lae'zel, and she kinda scared me by saying there was something I should see. We went outside and watched the sunrise. This is what she wanted to show me. She told me about how she used to hate the sunrise, and she only lived for blood and battles, but now she sees more. She sees beauty. Now she revels in sights like the sunrise and revels in us. lae'zel was having a hard time explaining her emotions, but what she made clear is that she wants us to stay with her when this is all over. I actually had tears in my eyes, not because of what she said, but because I know what's to come. I told her I would stay with her no matter what, and we continued to watch the sunrise together. Okay, well, let's go back to killing people, shall we? I've got someone specific in mind, and they are waiting for us in the sewers. On the way to our target, I found some ballers, nice, attacking some refugees. I, of course, took care of the ballers, but the refugees ran off and took care of themselves. Nice. Okay, well, back to what I was doing, here they are. The two people I've been looking for. Voss and his dragon, Kudanos. You know, the big red dragon he rode off on in Act 1? Yeah, this is him, but in a smaller form. I talked to Voss and told him that we got the Orphic Hammer, and he rewarded us by giving lae'zel a super good sword, the Silver Sword of the Astral Plane. But then, they disappeared. Okay, so I loaded back before I talked to them and just attacked them this time. New problem though, when it reached Voss's turn, he just disappeared again. Son of a... Alright, this is fine. We figured out harder problems than this. Well, actually not really. We've sort of just given up on stuff like this, and I asked you guys for help, but I can't do that this time because this is the end of the story, so I'm on my own. All that to say, I needed to get creative, and creative I got. Let's break it down. So if I attack them, they disappear, right? But if I turn Voss to stone, which I did, then I can actually attack Kudanos without any reaction. But if I kill Kudanos, then Voss will break free and disappear. If I just kill Voss while he's a statue, then Kudanos will teleport away without a chance to attack him. So here's the solution I came up with. I lowered Kudanos' health until he was almost dead. Then I did the same with Voss, and when they were both almost out of health, I attacked them at the same time. It looks like Kudanos disappeared, I know, but in the action log, it literally says Shadowheart killed Kudanos, and Voss's dead body is right here, so this is certainly good enough for me. lae'zel wasn't mad at me like I thought she would be, and I still got the silver sword from Voss's corpse. All in all, a big win for your boy. Usually I'd go to sleep after some fun like that, but I don't really need to yet. Instead, I went back to Rivington to make good on a promise I made in Act 2. Wulbren, you better get ready, cause I'm gonna in Act 3. You hear me? You, Bongle. In this cellar is where I should have found Wulbren, but unfortunately I must have missed him or something because he was nowhere to be found. A little concerning, yes, but I still managed to kill all the Iron Hand gnomes in this place. There was only one other spot that I could think Wulbren would be, and I did not want to be right about it. Back in Baldur's Gate, I found Wulbren outside of the Steel Watch Foundry, with the place in flames. Son of a bitch. Because I killed Gortash during his coronation, Wulbren took it upon himself to blow up the foundry, which means I don't get to do it, and I may have missed out on a massive amount of NPCs. At least that's what I thought at first. I killed this bag and then went to sleep. That night, our rest was interrupted yet again, this time by some vampires that were looking for Astarion. We all defended Astarion and killed the vampire attackers. In the morning, my concern grew as I found that Volo's assailants were all gone. I still killed Volo, but I had some serious investigating to do to make sure that I didn't completely fumble this challenge. The Steel Watch Foundry had been destroyed, and so that means the NPCs that were in there are all dead, so check there. Then on my way to Flim Cargo, I attacked these fisher folk. I also got this really funny shot of me and the gang staring down at someone. I don't know, I had to include this somewhere. Inside of the Flim Cargo building, I killed all of the big pups, and then when I arrived at where you would normally find the submarine that takes you to the Iron Throne, I found a letter of resignation. The letter is written by Red Hammer, the guy who would take you to the Iron Throne, and he mentions in the letter that the Iron Throne sank and everyone inside was murdered. So another big fat check there. So what this basically means is that I traded all of the people at the coronation for Volo's attackers and Red Hammer. It's obviously not a perfect way for it all to work out, but I'm content with the decision, and I think it's the better of two evils for sure. We've got a lot to do in the city of Baldur's Gate, and one of those things is to resolve Oscar's quest from Act 1. I killed him on the first go around, but I saved him on my second run run, and so he's here at Lady Janeth's estate. Before I even got to him though, I went through the entire estate and wiped out all of the ghosts. I made sure I didn't miss any of the souls or skulls either, which just leaves us with Oscar and Lady Janeth. Oscar has obviously been possessed, and gods above bless Lady Janeth because she is so patient and nice to this sucker. Oscar attacked me with some ghosts, all good, doesn't really faze me at this point, but then Janeth asked me to help save him from whatever's going on here. Upstairs behind this wall is a secret room. In the room there is a painting of a smiling woman. If you attack the painting, then you'll be faced with a few tormented souls. It turns out though that they are infinite, and after about 6 or so waves, I gave up on trying to kill them because they weren't going anywhere. In this room I also found a note to Oscar from a Mr. Mysticarian, and took that as a lead. I slept before meeting with him, but when we woke up, I went straight to Mysticarian's place and spoke the secret words to gain entry. Oh, no I didn't. I broke the door. Never mind. I wrote that I spoke the words, but I lied. Hey, is it racist if I say that this guy looks like Withers? Can you be racist to dead people? I don't know. I'm kind of over this quest at this point, so I murdered Mysticarian and all of his dead, undead friends. I made sure not to miss the ghouls upstairs as well. Killing Mysticarian doesn't really mean much though if I can't find his heart, because he'll just revive indefinitely until I find it and destroy it. On my way to find the heart, I got attacked by these fish guys. I killed them all, and also accidentally killed some innocents in the process. This guy, Thrumbo, had Mysticarian's heart, so I killed him too and then destroyed the heart. I know we got a bit sidetracked there, but I haven't finished Lady Janeth's quest yet. I went back to the estate and used a special torch to destroy the ominous painting, and when I did, a ghost lady came out. She confronted Oscar and Janeth, and it turns out that this woman was Oscar's lover, I think. I don't know. Like I said, I'm over this quest, so I just attacked. I killed the echo of a lost love along with all of her ghost friends. Janeth wised up and dumped his dumb ass after all this was over, and while I feel for her, she is unfortunately going to be stuck with him whether she likes it or not, because they are going to the underworld together. Not a very happy ending. I slept again and then finished this quest off by killing the butler guy. We are far from done killing things. In fact, we've barely gotten started. I made a visit to the Stormshore Tabernacle near the entrance of the city and snuck into the basement area. Down here, there are some offerings to several different gods and goddesses, and if you steal those offerings, then you will be cursed. The curse makes it so that celestial beings come out of your body when you get knocked out, and they are no joke. Killing them all was a massive pain in the ass, and I had to spend a good many scrolls to keep bringing my friends back, but when it was over, I hit the sack. In camp, I talked to lae'zel, and oh my god, she's actually gonna kiss me! Aw, and it's so cute. Man, these challenges suck ass because I always get attached to the characters like this. Back to killing people. There's another quest I'd like to get out of the way, and we start it here at the Flaming Fist headquarters. This woman lost her daughter, and the Flaming Fist aren't being much help. I told her I'd do some investigating for her, and that led me to the Blushing Mermaid, the bar where Laura lost her daughter. Yeah, not exactly Mother of the Year. I spoke to Captain Grizzly, the owner of this place, I think, and she told me that Laura is crazy, and even offered me $3,000 to take care of her. Well, we'll come back to Captain Grizzly, but I almost forgot that I've got a separate section of this quest to do before I get any further. There's a group of people that have gathered in this abandoned home that claim that they are hag survivors. There's one person here that you should recognize. What? Oh, she looks a little different now, huh? Well, this is Mayrina, the girl we saved from Ethel on the second go-around of Act 1. She's a sheep now, which is cool. Not sure what happened there. In this house, there's a cursed doll. I used the spell Remove Curse on it, and that turned Mayrina back into a person. Turns out that this guy is actually working for Auntie, the hag, and once he showed his true form, my team diced him up. Then to seal the deal here, I also killed Mayrina, her dead-ass husband, and the other 2 hag survivors. Now, I know that might all seem out of left field, but I did that because old Captain Grizzly is actually our good friend Auntie Ethel. Ethel tells us that Laura's daughter, Vanra, is actually inside of her, and she's going to turn into a hag like Ethel. That is f***ing gross. Ethel ran off, and some of the patrons in the bar revealed that they were actually disguised like Ethel was, and they attacked. Chain lightning is one hell of a drug, man. I chased after Ethel by going into the cellar of this place and going through this wall. Before reaching her, I did battle with these poor souls that Ethel took over, kind of like the ones in the place where we fought her for the first time. The real Captain Grizzly is also among them, and she, like them, was killed. All of this nonsense has led up to this, our final encounter with Auntie Ethel. Like I said, she's got Vanra inside of her, so if I kill her, then I kill the kid, which is actually exactly what I need to do. I absolutely demolished Ethel, and then she threw up Vanra, who was dead, and then she died too. Except not really. See, I forgot to get rid of these mushroom things before killing her, and the mushrooms revive and heal Ethel, so she got right back up at full health, but Vanra was still dead. Hey, fine by me, I had to kill the kid anyway. It took a handful of turns to destroy all of the mushrooms, but when they were all gone, I once again killed Ethel. For real this time. Right? She's dead, right? God, I hope she's dead. I finished off this quest by visiting Laura and telling her about her daughter's death. She started running away, no idea where she would have gone, but before she could get too far, I put her down as well. Hopefully she can be with her daughter somewhere now. Or not. I don't know. I, of course, got some rest after that mess, but we got up and went downstairs into the Elf Song Tavern to check out the Emperor's old stomping grounds. I was stopped by Chef Rovere, though, and he asked, well, he told me to go kill some rats in the cellar. I like getting paid, so I went down there and obliterated those poor rats. He gave me my money, and I got back to what I was doing. In the cellar, there's a hidden door that leads to the Knights of the Shield hideout. We got in there and found some Githyanki waiting for us. The Githyanki are tough. I am dating one after all, so this fight wasn't easy. The main challenge though is not killing these guys that are holding the portals open. If you let them, they'll keep summoning reinforcements through the portals. I kept killing them for a while, but was starting to think they might be infinite. Of course, as soon as I wrote, "Do they summon infinitely?" in my notebook, the last bit of backup came through and they closed the portals on their own. Sweet, I finished them off and had done all the killing I needed to do here. I looted some of the Emperor's old stuff, none of it that exciting to be honest, and then we all went to bed. Man, what does a lady gotta do to get some sleep around here? Well, tonight's interruption is brought to you by the Emperor, who has his shirt off. Huh. Okay, look man, I'm gonna level with you. Usually when I play this game, I just make my guardian someone attractive, and that's because you can bang the Emperor. I thought about it for a good while and decided, hey, let's do it. He turned back into Dump, and we... Man, okay. I regret this. This is weird. Not only am I cheating on lae'zel, but I'm also cheating on Lydia through Dump, so it just, yeah. Can we all pretend that this didn't happen? Okay, cool, thanks. I'm gonna go kill some more people to get my mind off of it. I actually just spent the next while killing a bunch of people that are sort of, I don't know, miscellaneous. Please enjoy this quick murder montage. Okay, I was gonna include this in the montage, but it's too crazy not to talk about. This is the Society of Brilliance's Lodge, and oh dear God has something bad happened. Inside this portal, we find someone we've technically met before, Pataris. That's how he says his own name, eat me. He is that little son that hatched from the Githyanki egg that we gave to Lady Esther. Looks like her theory about Gith being born violent might just have some merit to it, huh? Or she got unlucky. I could be either, I guess. Regardless, everyone in the society is dead, and I did the world a favor by adding Pataris to that list of names. And it looks like he took care of Esther for me. Thanks, man. Okay, it's time for us to go on another quest, and this one is big. Like, really big. Oh wait, I forgot. I had a big battle with some ballers in the Bloom Ridge Park. My bad. Okay, anyways, this place here is the Devil's Fee, a cute little shop full of curious curios, and I'm just kidding. There's a pentagram upstairs. We'll come back to that, but first I need to talk to Helsik. Helsik recognizes us from a previous visit and even has Sceleratus's hat. I gave her some coin to jog my memory, and she told me about her little side business, breaking people into the hells. Apparently, we've done this already in the past. I'm pretty sure that's how Gortash got his hands on the crown of Karsus, actually, but I'm not interested in that right now, because what I need to do is break into the House of Hope, Raphael's home in hell. She offered to do it for 20K, but I convinced her that I'd get her a souvenir instead, and she agreed to that deal. She gave me the supplies I needed to complete the ritual upstairs, and with the components in the right spots, we had our very own portal to hell. We are greeted in the House of Hope by a woman named, well, Hope. Hope is a little all over the place, but what I gathered is that she's stuck in this place and wants to be freed. We'll come back to Hope later, but before she left, she gave us some disguises. They're just clothes, but I guess they'll keep people from suspecting anything suspicious. After talking to Hope, I ran into the Infernal Mason. I killed him to see if doing so would cause any trouble, but nope. I think we're in the clear. If you go outside and jump along this rock path, you'll come to find Raphael? Oh, no, this is Harlip. He's basically Raphael's sex toy, and because Raphael wants to bang himself, Raphael has taken on Harlip has taken on Raphael's form. He asks to play a game, and to be totally honest, I couldn't remember what happens if you say yes, so I told him I'd play. He told me to take my clothes off, and look, I can't show you what happens next because I like getting paid for my videos, but we didn't do anything too crazy. Oh, and he turned into a her, and then we fought. The whole thing is kind of silly, and Harlip is really annoying because it just keeps disappearing after getting hit, but I killed it and all of the imps that came with it. On Harlip's body was a key to Raphael's safe, and inside of the safe is a note written by the big man himself. The note reveals the password to a barrier surrounding our contract, which is incredibly convenient, but hey, I think we've earned a little convenience. In the room where our contract is sitting, there's a unique NPC named the Archivist. On the other side of the House of Hope, there's a guy named Newbalden. If you attack one without being around the other, then one of them will disappear. I put it on turn-based mode, had Astarion attack Baldur, and then I killed the Archivist while he was talking to me. Then I ripped up the contract and I could sense that Raphael was on his way. I also grabbed the Amulet of Vigor and the Gauntlets of Hill Giant Strength, the souvenir that I told Helsik she could have for helping me. When I left this room, there were like a billion enemies waiting for me, and I'm not gonna waste your time here, but I killed them all and it took forever. I healed up, shoutouts to this little tub thing, and before going to save Hope, I killed the Eternal Rat. I descended into the prison area of the House of Hope and did battle with the enemies there. They're not that scary, to be honest, at least not compared to what's to come. I freed Hope, destroyed all of the petrified debtors, and went upstairs to face the final boss. The way we came in is blocked off by Raphael. He's got Corilla and Yrgir by his side and he is not happy. But he said something he shouldn't have. He hates kittens. He's out of his f***ing mind if he thinks I'm not going to destroy him for that. I love kittens, and I didn't bother trying to convince Yrgir to side with me. Bring it on, big guy. Down comes the claw.
Get ready for battle!
I know I just talked big, but we got off to an awful start. In just a few turns, Astarion went down, Shart went down, and lae'zel was hurt bad. Surely this is where a normal person would load back and reset the situation, but I'm not normal. I'm f***ing crazy. I started my counterattack by having Hope unleash her divine intervention. It killed Corilla and did big damage to everyone else, but it also got Hope killed. A sacrifice that I would unfortunately have to live with. I didn't have another big attack like that though, at least not one of my own making. I teleported as far away from everyone as possible, and then lae'zel dropped my secret weapon, something I've been holding on to since I killed those Iron Hand gnomes earlier. 2 rune powder barrels. The fire ignited the barrels, and everyone except for Raphael, lae'zel, though she was down, and myself were killed by the blast. I'm back in the fight. I laid into Raphael as hard as I could, and I did some decent damage. That unfortunately wasn't going to be enough though, because he turned into Super Devil, and damn near killed me. I was in deep trouble, so I drank a potion of speed and did a little healing. I hit him again, and then before my turn was up, I threw a healing potion at lae'zel. She got up and returned the favor by healing me back to full health. I, once again, was back in the fight. Raphael knocked her right back down, a testament to how powerful he is in this form, and I started having flashbacks of our fight with Answer. To even have a chance at clutching this, I took on my giant form that is granted to me by Baldurin's sword. I was hitting harder in this form, and Raphael and I went back and forth until I landed a divine smite that was just barely enough to kill the monster. I revived my friends, took Raphael's armor for myself, and got the hell out of there. The Emperor popped into my brain and was absolutely baffled by our actions, which was just the laugh I needed after such an intense battle. I took the world's biggest, fattest nap after that. In the morning, I told Helsik that she got scammed and then attacked her. She was aided by these golden creatures, and like I said earlier, just about every fight these days is a near-death experience, but near-death ain't death, and we came out on top. Super quick and random detour, here's Gale's cat. At least I think it's his cat. It would be weird if they looked the same, sounded the same, and yeah, she's dead. We've come very far in the game, but there's actually a companion we have yet to meet. To start the quest that leads to finding him, I went into the underground area of the city into the guild hall. This here is Nine Fingers, the guild master and someone who can help us find who we're looking for. Unfortunately though, she only wants to talk to Jaheira and won't exactly take no for an answer. Well, I've still got Jaheira's decaying corpse around here somewhere, so welcome back. I got Jaheira all set up with some new digs and then brought her to Nine Fingers. Jaheira told Nine Fingers that the person person we're looking for is a man named Minsk, a name that would be familiar to you if you played Baldur's Gate 1 and I think 2. It turns out though that Minsk has taken on the moniker of Stone Lord, and he's been causing trouble for Nine Fingers, enough for her to want him dead. She knows where he'll strike next, but isn't willing to tell us. Asking around the guild a bit, Uktar told us that Minsk should be at the counting house sometime soon. I wasted no time in heading right there. The counting house is basically a big bank, and in the basement there is a vault where Minsk is planning to attack. I cracked the vault the old-fashioned way, just trying every combination until I got it right, and then inside we came upon a strange scene. Minsk emerged from a mimic, and he wasn't alone. He was accompanied by Jaheira? Well, we're pretty familiar with doppelgangers at this point, but we'll have to get back to them in a minute because both Jinsk because both Minsk and Jaheira disappeared and we were left here to clean up their allies. No biggie, they're not that exciting, but we'll have to come back to the counting house to finish off the innocents another time. Minsk escaped somewhere into the sewers under the city and we went after them. Before I could find him though, I was stopped by this guy Alis. Alis is certifiably insane and he attacked us with his stinky friends. This fight is a major pain in the ass because not only are there a lot of them, but the ground is covered in grease. I know, boo-hoo, but I got my hands real dirty and killed them all. Further into the sewers, I ran into this guy who was surrounded by empty sleeping potion bottles. Kinda sad, but I put him out of his misery. We're getting close to where Minsk is hiding, but there's one more battle before we can confront him, and that battle is with these Baldurs. They summoned a murder of crows, but I've battled actual devils in actual hell, so this wasn't much fun. Just a little ways away though, I found where Minsk was hiding. Earlier, I mentioned that he's a companion, but frankly, I don't need him. I used my Slayer form and quite literally tore into him. Jaheira disapproved, we'll get back to that, but Minsk is dead. The rest of the people here were actually kind of pushovers. I was expecting a bigger challenge, honestly. Fun fact though, Boss Friol, the leader of the Zentarim that I'm currently murdering, would actually have been Roa Moonglow from Act 1 if I hadn't already killed Roa. The fight was over though, and Jaheira was livid that I killed Minsk. She even left the party, but I can't let her get away. I put her down for the second time in this video. And I also had to end poor little Boo. I've never really bonded with Minsk, but I was bummed having to kill Boo and Jaheira again. With Astarion back in my party, I think it's time that we wrap up the Dark Urge questline. Well, it's actually more like we start the questline because frankly, we haven't even scratched the surface yet. The quest is a long and arduous one, but one that starts with solving the murders of the Open Hand Temple. This little sorry, that was aggressive. This jerk, Valeria, is in charge of the investigation. I found the murder weapon way back when we fought those doppelgangers under the temple, but apparently that wasn't enough evidence. I did a little more digging and found a list of targets. I guess that was enough for Valeria to lift a finger, or I guess like a toe, and she told me to go seek out Devella Fountainhead, a flaming fist that is working much harder to solve these murders. We'll find Devella in a minute, but first I'm gonna stop by the wine festival. Hey, remember 20 pages ago when I said we're on the lookout for a dwarf in red clothes? Well, look who we finally found. He's here to murder this woman, Cora. I got in his way though, and all hell broke loose. I did battle with Dolar's shadow clones, but I may have gone a little too crazy and killed everyone else at the festival. Gee, these accidents just keep happening, don't they? The doppelgangers got doppeled, and I went chasing after Dolar. He made his way further into the city to assassinate this guy, Figaro Pennygood. I told him to take his dirty hands off my prey, and yet another battle began. This time, it was against the real Dolar, and I didn't hold back against him. Man, even at the end of the game, Paladin is just so damn strong. I took care of his little goons, and in the process, I may have also killed Figaro and that fist, Devella Fountainhead, that we were sent to find. When the fighting was said and done, I was approached by a man named Olfaith. I'm not sure if he's a Dirge-specific character or not because I've never seen him before to my knowledge, but he was creepy and turned out to be a doppelganger. Before I get any further, I should probably get some rest. I found a dress on Figaro's body and man, does it look great. The red really suits me, I think. Gender envy aside, the next place I need to go to progress the Dark Urge quest is to the Murder Tribunal. Guarding the place we need to go are these three guys. They are no joke, but I've said it maybe 30 times now, getting the jump on them really helped. Still though, I wanted to be at 100% for this next section, so I went back to sleep. Inside the door they were guarding is an important man, Saravok Anchev. Saravok is the main antagonist of the first Baldur's Gate game, and while his inclusion in this game is a little unnatural, he is pretty cool. He's kind of like us, a descendant of Baal. I'm also about 65% sure that he's our grandfather, but I may have misunderstood him. Anyways, Saravok does us a favor and fills in the remaining gaps in in our memory. We once were Baal's favorite. We worshipped Baal, and we were unmatched in our bloodlust. We were so distracted by that bloodlust that Orin was able to take us down and steal our place. Sarevok lets us know that if we're looking for her, we're in the wrong place, but he does tell us where we can find her. He also tells us that the challenge that Orin issued earlier was that so she could kill us and offer us to Baal, making her the unmatched chosen of Baal. That's not why we're in this place though. We are here to become an unholy assassin. To do so, we need to make a sacrifice, and oh boy, look who they got for us to kill. Honestly, this is gonna feel good. Yeah, it did. We were baptized in blood and had officially become an unholy assassin. When I emerged, I found the echo of Absagal, and after I traded with him, I turned on the murder tribunal. See, I only needed to go through all of this so that Absagal would appear, and now that that's done, I have no use for anyone here. Sarevok is powerful, but without some more efficient backup, even he isn't gonna stop our squad. I killed his other echoes and then finished him off myself. I had not only become an unholy assassin, but I had also dismantled the murder tribunal. Today, we've made great strides in killing every NPC. I actually started the next day by going back underground and finishing up some business with the Nine Fingers. See, after the Stone Lord mess, the Zhentarim turn on her and there's a big battle in the guild hall. I helped the guild fight them off, but don't worry, we'll come back here and take care of them later. Back to finding Orin though, I've got a couple more distractions in the way. First, I killed some cranium rats. Then I killed the voiceless penitent and took the skull from his body to give to Saren's corpse. This gave her a ghost form and I killed the ghost, I guess. I also went into the ancient lair and battled a huge group of undead, which was honestly way tougher than I was prepared for. Still got it done, but damn, just barely. I was finally ready to go to the Temple of Baal, but of course on the way there we were stopped again. The fight this time was with some Ballers, a trial you have to pass to reach the temple. You could end the trial quicker by killing this guy, but I had to make sure I killed all of the people here before I took care of him because I didn't want to miss anyone. And I don't think I did. I passed the trial and descended deeper into the temple. Waiting for me at the entrance was our friend Scaleratus. He told me about how serving Orin isn't nearly as cool as when he's with us, and when Orin kills him every day, he doesn't even bust. Well, okay, he didn't say that, but that was pretty much the gist of it. We're finally here. We've reached the Temple of Baal and the climax of the Dark Urge questline. Orin was here and standing over Yenna, that girl we let stay in our camp like an hour ago. Now, I knew this was gonna happen, but watching Orin kill Yenna was still kind of a shock. I don't know, I didn't think she was really gonna do it. It made me remember that I wasn't facing a normal opponent. This is Orin. She's defeated the Dark Urge before, but she hasn't beaten me. Orin and I took our places and our duel began. She ran up and attacked with her daggers. I returned in kind by landing some big shots on her. She missed her next attacks and even got herself charmed. Orin was all talk. All this build up just for me to absolutely annihilate her. Orin used what bit of life she had left to try and fight back, but she sunk into a puddle of blood. Scaleratus told me that Baal was coming, and through Scaleratus's now thoroughly stabbed body, Baal began to speak to us. He told us he had a gift for us, an offering of his affection. He said, "I will use this gift to build mountains of corpses and to truly destroy this world. It is what you were made for," he says. That line kind of me up for a minute, because he couldn't possibly know how right he is. I mean, I literally made Dumfries, my character, to be someone who would kill everyone. Destroying the world is a sad fate, but it's what we're here to do. I accepted Baal, and with a heavy heart, I became his chosen. I would claim the crown of Karsus and dominate the world, fill it with destruction, and actually kill every NPC. I know that kind of felt like the end. I mean, it is sort of the end for the Dark Urge quest, but we've still got a lot more work to do before we're good and done with this playthrough. I took Orin's Netherstone and the Emperor emerged to check it out himself. With all of the stones, the location of the Elder Brain was revealed to us. The Emperor warns that once we go to that place, there will be no turning back, and to finish our business before we get there. I felt uneasy about all the Baal stuff, but I felt worse for Yenna. She's just so innocent and nice. It feels pretty bad how things turned out for her. The killing in the temple isn't over quite yet. I took on my Slayer form and started killing all of the Baal cultists that remained here. I'm glad they didn't interfere in my duel with Orin because they, collectively at least, were much tougher than she was. I made sure to get the ones in Orin's bedroom as well and found the pool of blood that we left when Orin attacked us. This is where you would normally find the Dark Urge's body if you weren't playing as them, and it's cool that the blood is still here regardless. Before I left, I used a spell to speak with Yenna's dead body. There was one thing that she said that made me want to throw up from sadness. I asked her who I should tell about her death, and she said Grub and me. The only two people that were still there for her. Man. let's get out of here. Sub-stories aren't done yet because Scaleritus was waiting in camp for us. He's technically immortal, but if I release him from our services, then he'll get literally folded. Man, day all around, huh? The next day, I woke up and put Yenna's body in a pretty spot in Rivington, where she could hopefully rest in peace. Okay, let's pull it together because I've still got an entire genocide to commit. Also, Scaleritus is still here and I can't interact with him, so I'm pretty sure it just glitched. I don't know, I did what I was supposed to. When I went to the city, I found people turning into mind flayers. I helped the Flaming Fist fight them off, but this was a clear sign that the Elder Brain was breaking free. I took care of this group, but then at the entrance of the city there was another battle. Weirdly though, the Steel Watch was also attacking me for some reason. Turns out it wasn't just some reason. After doing some research, I found that if you don't destroy the Steel Watch and instead kill Gortash first, then the Steel Watch will get taken over by the Absolute, the Elder Brain, and they'll attack you. So now every Steel Watcher in the city is out to get me, and they are usually accompanied by some Flaming Fist, which means we are officially public enemy number 1. Great. I tried to do a little shopping but got annoyed with the constant fighting, so I just moved on to the next quest. We made our way towards Cazador's palace, stopping to fight some of his thralls on the way, and once we were inside, we wasted no time attacking. I killed some more thralls, and then found Godi. Godi. This guy used to torture Astarion, and while yes, I will have to kill Astarion, I still don't like him. I killed another thrall and then used the ring and dictionary I found to break the seal on this huge door. Behind the door was a small army of wolves, werewolves, and other assorted animals. We tore our way through them and delved deeper into Cazador's freaky dungeon. On the way to Cazador, we found some people locked up. Turns out that some of these people, this guy specifically, were brought here by Astarion. He'd bring them to Cazador, assuming Cazador would feed on them, but he was really turning them into vampire spawn and keeping them locked away for his vampiric ascension ritual. There's also some kids locked in here who were taken away from that monster camp that we slaughtered earlier. We'll take care of them pretty soon, but before we can do anything else, we need to face Cazador himself. We approached the vampire and he and Astarion started fighting with each other. Astarion fell right into Cazador's trap though. Cazador swept him away and added him into the ritual circle. All the elements he needed to ascend were here. The only thing left in his way was us. Cazador is usually a huge pain during this fight, and he opened up by tearing up Shart and lae'zel. By the time it was even my turn, Shart was down. I went absolutely ham though. I drank a potion of speed, which gave me some extra attacks, and by the end of it, Cazador was dead. That is huge. That freed Astarion, and though it still took a good bit of fighting, we managed to kill all of Cazador's backup. Astarion then ripped Cazador from his coffin and had a terribly evil idea. Astarion wanted to hijack the Ascension ritual, but to do it, he needed a replacement for himself. He linked his mind to mine, and through my eyes, he looked at himself and carved the runes on his back into Cazador. That meant he could use Cazador in his place for the ritual, and it could be completed as intended. Astarion grabbed Cazador's staff and spoke the magic words. The ascension began, and I opted not to stop him. The ritual was completed by killing and absorbing the power of all of Cazador's vampire spawn, including the people and kids we saw locked up just a little bit ago. Astarion was finally free of Cazador's influence, but now was no better than him. He talked about how he would make the world lay at his feet, but unfortunately, this world isn't his, it's mine. In the very room where Astarion ascended, achieving true freedom, he was killed at the hands of his friend. Okay, well that was another major bummer, but that means I am down a man, and because there's no other living companions, I need to talk to Withers. He has hirelings that you can take as companions, and I made one. Now, you guys gotta promise not to make fun of me, okay? I worked really hard on him, and I'm really putting myself out there creatively, so just be nice, please. This is Astarion. He's a half-fighter, half-rogue elf who has a haunting past and a craving for blood. I'm proud of him. I haven't seen another character like him before, honestly. With my new teammate in tow, I went to sleep for the billionth time. There's another person in our party who has some unfinished business in Baldur's Gate, so let's go address it. I respect Shadowheart to be a Tempest Domain cleric once again because I felt like she should be a cleric for the end of her quest. We got attacked by a Steel Watcher and some Flaming Fist on the way, but we took care of them like we always do. We pulled up to the House of Grief where the Sharans have taken up residence, and I let Shadowheart do all of the talking. Shart talked to the Mother Superior, and we were invited into the depths of this place. We went downstairs, and Viconia, the Mother Superior, asked us to give up Shart. I told her to f*** off, and the Sharans attacked. There's a lot of them, but I'm not gonna let that stop me. Like Hope did in the House of Hope, I had Shadowheart use her divine intervention. I probably should have left the HUD on to see the damage it caused, but I just wanted to see it clearly. Honestly, I wasn't incredibly impressed. She also let a destructive wave rip, and between those two attacks, I had thinned the herd a little bit. She got knocked for doing that though, and it was up to us to finish off everyone else. It was hard to do with clouds of darkness all over the place, but after like 15 straight minutes of fighting, we won the battle. We confronted Viconia and asked about Shadowheart's parents. She told us where they were, but she also told us about how Shart had been torturing them for years without even knowing that they were her parents, which is insanely f***ed, even for me. Shadowheart didn't falter though, and she finished off Viconia herself. Just past this room, we found her parents. They were really alive this whole time. They revealed Shadowheart's real name, Genevieve. As we talked to them though, Shar got the last laugh. She has cursed Shadowheart to have a permanent wound that Shar can make hurt whenever she sees fit. She offers an ultimatum: kill your parents and be free of this wound, or let them live and have to deal with the wound forever. Her parents are actually the ones who offered some guidance. They want to pass on and they want Shart to be free. That's ultimately what Shadowheart chose to do. Her parents turned into moon motes and went to be at peace with their goddess Selûne. Shadowheart was obviously upset, but unfortunately there was no point in comforting her. I took her to her special hiding place here and murdered her. I gathered some night orchids and laid them around her body. She told me once long ago that night orchids were her favorite flower. Rest in peace, Shart. I'll miss you. I almost forgot about another NPC in this place, Nocturne, but I came back for her too. Like with the death of Astarion, I now had a void in my team that needs to be filled, and I made another new companion. Remember, you're not allowed to laugh. I put my heart and soul into this character. This is Shadowlung. She's a half-elf Tempest of Domain cleric who worships Selûne and has a hazy past. Again, I think I did pretty good at creating a really one-of-a-kind character. I tried to save my companions for the end, and I'm keeping lae'zel by my side, so that means we've reached that special time that we come to in all of these challenges. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the slaughter phase. I couldn't possibly show every single kill without editing it really quickly and giving you guys a seizure, so I'm just going to show you some of the kills and let the credits roll with the names of the people that I killed in this phase. Please sit back and I'll talk to you again shortly. Okay, folks, with the slaughter phase over, we are in the final stretch. I was saving the rest of the hirelings for the end, but I pretty quickly hit a big snag. Turns out you can only have 3 hirelings at a time. Even if you kill one and give them to withers to look after, you still can't hire more than 3. You'd have to release them, which means you can't kill them, which means I actually can't kill them all. I guess that's not a huge deal though, if withers isn't around to revive any of them anyways. I mean, they're already dead. I killed my new friends, Astarion and Shadowlung, and then had lae'zel consume the astral-touched tadpole. I would have done it myself, but I needed lae'zel to do it because she has spells that I need to get this done. In this form, she can use Shocking Grasp and Ability Drain to drop Wither's intelligence score to 1. Then with Absorb Intellect, Wither's intelligence score will drop to 0, and if any ability drops to 0, you automatically die. This, to my knowledge, is the only way to kill Withers. Too bad it took lae'zel becoming what she hates most in the world to get it done. It's hard for me to believe that we've actually reached the end of this challenge. It's been an insane ride, and there's been so many corpses left in our wake, but we don't have time to sit and reminisce. Let's go take control of the Elder Brain and bring true ruin to the land of Faerun. It's just me and lae'zel now, so I got our equipment all set and then went back under the city to find where the Elder Brain had been waiting. Before I could find the Elder Brain, I was faced by an army of cranium rats. With some scrolls and bomb arrows, I made quick work of them. Then lae'zel and I took a ride on this boat to reach the Morphic Pool. The Elder Brain released some shockwaves as we approached that got our boat destroyed, and we had to swim the rest of the way. There truly was no going back from here. On the way to the brain, we got jumped by intellect devourers. They kinda took care of themselves, but they do it around you, which sucks because that shit hurts. lae'zel went down, but I was prepared with some healing, so it didn't stop us. Then we were confronted by the Elder Brain. It rose from the Morphic Pool and spoke directly to us. I took the stones and tried desperately to control the brain, but this was no Elder Brain. No, this was a Nether Brain. A much more powerful and intelligent being than an Elder Brain. The Nether Brain taunted me, told me that this entire journey was part of its plan, part of its grand design. In gathering the 3 Nether Stones, we had unknowingly done exactly what the brain wanted. I tried one last time to bring it under control, but like the other attempts, it was fruitless. The Nether Brain attacked, but we were saved in the nick of time by the Emperor, and he whisked us away to the astral plane. In our absence, the brain broke free from its hiding place and rose high above the city. It used its power to turn people into mind flayers, and carnage broke out in the city below. Several nautiloids emerged beside the brain, and it was made clear that this is it. This is the end. Back in the astral plane, though, the Emperor had a plan. Currently, he's tied to the astral prism and can only leave in short bursts. To escape the prism permanently, he'll eat Orpheus's brain and gain his knowledge and powers. Then, once he's free, he'll be able to use the stones to control the brain, something I guess only an Illithid can do. lae'zel, of course, was not going to go along with this solution. Orpheus is to be the savior of the Githyanki people after all, but we all knew it couldn't be sunshine and rainbows forever with us. I gave the Nether Stones to the Emperor, and lae'zel was crushed. She yelled at me, threatened me, and then did battle with me. This fight would be no different from our fight back in Act 2, though. I guess that was sort of foreshadowing, huh? Face to face, I struck her down with a divine smite.
When all this is over, will you stay with me? For good?
lae'zel was a lost soul, one that just wanted something to believe in, but unfortunately, I couldn't be that for her. lae'zel, I hope wherever you've gone, there's a sunrise waiting for you. I'm so ready for this to be over, man. I've broken my own heart like 30 times. The Emperor took a big bite of Orpheus and gave him the abilities he needed. Now all I have left is me and the Emperor, and no offense, buddy, you're no lae'zel. Feelings aside, we are approaching the final battle, and we're finally ready for it. Usually in the High Hall, you'd find all the allies you've built up throughout the game waiting for you, but Astarion, what the f*** are you doing here? And, you know, alive. Okay, whatever. We're too close to the end for me to keep questioning things. I killed the 3 boys here, and then climbed high into this tower to kill a stray winged horror. Before we can take on the final battle, we've got a few folks off the beaten path to deal with. First, we need to break open this gate and make our way into the sewer. I don't think most people know about this area, but if you don't, it's not too tough. Just a few NPCs, and I'm just kidding, there's a whole army down here. This fight is such a silly assortment of enemies that you face throughout the whole game, but with some help from the Emperor, and I do only mean some help, this guy isn't really all that, we managed to get the job done. There's some innocent civilians outside of the next fight, and a guy named Renfrew the Baker. I had no clue where he came from, but he's the only one with a name for whatever reason. There's also a small group of watchmen that follow behind them, and we killed them too. And these 2 mind flayers. The last little group that I fought with before the big battle was against these winged horrors. They're kind of off to the side, so I was able to kill all of them without triggering the whole thing. After they were dead though, we drank some potions that basically equate to a long rest, and with just myself and the Emperor, we were going to have to fight off the army of the Absolute. I took on my giant form before engaging anyone, but I was only noticed by a small group at first. I used that as an opportunity to destroy a bunch of people with explosives. The amount of enemies slowly started to grow, but I just kept on fighting. I don't love the Emperor's set of abilities, but it was getting the job done. I successfully killed the first small group and then flew right into the next one. I owned the Spectator, I blasted some goblins, but then they just kept coming. There were so many turns in between me and the Emperor that everything I did became so important because it would be forever until I could go again. They were pretty dead set on targeting the Emperor, which could have been worse, I guess. The Emperor can use scrolls, if you didn't know, and I brought a bunch of them with me. My boy was getting pelted, but he kept holding out for his turns. I kept taking down people while they were focused on him, and though it wasn't a perfect tactic, it was working. Their numbers were dwindling, and we were still standing. It went on this way for several more rounds, but in the end, it was just the Emperor and I remaining in the courtyard. Oh, and these guys. I killed them too. The next stretch, the run-up to the final battle, can technically go on infinitely because the Nautiloid will just keep sending in backup, so I didn't waste my time trying to kill everyone. At the bottom of the Nether Brain, there is usually a restoration pod, but I guess I'm out of luck this time around, so I just took another nap. Here we go. I climbed the stem of the Nether Brain and reached the top. Like in the self-same trial in the Gauntlet of Shar, there's technically more unique enemies that can be here depending on your party, but I can't really change that now. The Nether Brain also has a f***ing dragon as backup that is nearly the same strength as Answer was, so I was in for a rough time. I opened up by using a power that I'd been saving to kill my counterpart, and then took on my Slayer form for some extra mileage on my life. I wanted to focus on the dragon, but I got grabbed by these tentacles and lost out on a turn. The mind flayers that surrounded us got some hits in, and things were already looking dire. The Emperor freed me with a chain lightning spell, and I got to work attacking the dragon. I was far from killing it, but I was closer than before. It knocked me out of my Slayer form, and now I was sorta out of last-ditch efforts. I kept hitting the dragon with all I had, and I was out of range of the mind flayers, so I was able to keep fighting it without getting destroyed. It took a couple turns, but with some good old divine smite, I took it out of commission. A Nautiloid joined the fight though and started sending in more of those infinite reinforcements. I needed to reach the crown and take control. First though, I needed to destroy the brain tentacles and the mind flayers that were here when the fight started. You know, killing every NPC and all that. The Emperor was having a tough time with the tentacles, and I couldn't save him before the mind flayers dropped him. I got revenge on them, but there were still more coming. I revived the Emperor, but it was really hard to keep him on his feet when he was already so hurt. I had to revive him like 5 more times, but I was still managing to fend off the enemies. The Illithid were no match for me, but there was an infinite amount of them, and unfortunately that equation ends with me losing eventually. I ended up finding a pocket of time to revive the Emperor and heal him enough to stop him from going down. I needed this to end before it went on much longer, so I had him start taking over the crown. I kept him safe long enough for him to open a portal directly into the mind of the Nether Brain. We would have to attack it there to win this battle, and the Emperor got started without me. I joined him when I got the chance, and together we unleashed everything we had left on the brain. It was destroying the ground around us to keep us on our toes, but we didn't relent. A scroll of disintegrate, a topple the big folk, a lacerate, a concentrated blast, and finally, a plain old swing of the sword. The Nether Brain's will had been broken, and it was in prime positioning to be controlled. The Emperor braced himself to take control of it like we had planned, but that plan would never see the light of day. I had my own agenda, and while he was vulnerable, I turned on him. I viciously attacked the Emperor, my last ally, my last friend, and he died at my feet. I gathered the stones and used them to dominate the brain. I took a seat on the throne at the top of the crown and urged all of the Illithid now under my control to follow me, and we would begin our reign of terror. All done.
In Baal's name.
So kids, did we do it? Did we kill every NPC in Baldur's Gate 3? Absolutely not. But man, did I try. I think we did really well considering the massive scale of this game, and without your comments and feedback, it wouldn't have worked out nearly as well. This project has been the biggest undertaking I've ever, undertaken. It took 89 pages of scripts, 40,000 words, a notebook and a half's worth of notes, over 100 hours of recording, and almost double that in editing. I cannot thank you guys enough for joining me on this journey. It's one that I will certainly never forget, and even though it didn't go perfectly, I'm proud of it. If you enjoyed yourself, remember to subscribe and leave a like and all that other boring stuff. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. GG's, everybody.